Hello, YouTube, and welcome to this second Physique review stream. Today we have a bunch of heavy hitters. When I was reviewing the physiques, I was out of my fucking mind because there were so many insane physiques. Like, we have Hum in the chat right now who is going to blow you the fuck away. And this is the Chad edition. Like, I'm honestly shocked. I think you're going to be greatly inspired with what we have in store today. So we're going to start in maybe 50 minutes because I have 20 entries to get to, and I want to make sure that they all receive the review that they deserve because there's a lot to say. You cannot submit. Thank you for the question. You can get a written review if you want to. The written reviews tend to be more complete than the ones live because I can sit down. I can actually make a list of all the things you have to improve. Oftentimes, I even go above and beyond, and I give you program reviews at the same time. I skew your program to make sure that you hit the muscles that you need to hit. It's a great value for what you pay for. It might not be accessible for a very long time considering the amount of work that it gives me. So if you want one, you can go on the coffee page. But the 20 that will be reviewed today sent their physique and their photos 2 days ago. So you cannot be reviewed live, if that's the question. So what is going on with me and with you guys? Because we're going to start soon, but not right now. So what is going on with me? I have food poisoning. So this stream was almost canceled because I am an idiot and I bought trout for a good deal and it was smelly. And usually when fish smells, it's the sign that you don't want to eat it. I ate it because I'm not throwing away fish. And then I woke up at 4 a.m. in a cold sweat and I realized, oh, you have food poisoning, you fucking idiot. So now you have to deal with this. And I went to bed. And I don't know if you've ever had food poisoning in your life, chat, but it's a gamble. If you go back to bed with food poisoning, one of two things can happen. Either you sleep through the night and you wake up feeling better, or you shit your bed. One of two things. I gambled. I was like, fuck that. And luckily I didn't shit the bed because I have an iron stomach for some reason. So I'm fine. And I'm here. And I even hit the gym yesterday like a child. So all good on that end. I just did some weighted carries outside in the cold, in the snow, which is fun as fuck. I might make a video about weighted carries eventually if I see the results aligning with something that I think you guys should be doing as well. But I need to experiment, of course. What else? Oh yeah, the thumbnail. Because I had some people who were wondering if the ratings in the thumbnail were legit. Yeah, they're legit, but I'm going to tell you the context so that you understand. So did I see the physique reviews are either you pledge a membership or you donate $10. That's it. So the physiques in the thumbnail, on the left is Erzoviak, who is a French bodybuilder who has an insane level, who I respect greatly, and who you should follow because he knows a shit ton about bodybuilding. And on the right is me. Erzoviak, at some point, I think it was a month ago, went to visit Michael Gundil, who is une sommité, who is an expert in bodybuilding, who is almost unknown in the USA because, of course, we don't export our talents. But the guy is a genius of bodybuilding. He invented machines. He invented a lot of methods of training that you follow. You don't even know that he did that because a bunch of US influencers or bodybuilding gurus copied his methods and never gave him credit for it. He looked at Erzoviak's physique and he gave him a rating. And the rating was a 6. Why? Because Michael Gundil works with pro bodybuilders. So, of course, his standards are fucking skewed. I would never rate Erzoviak a 6. Erzoviak is much more than a 6. But I know that that very same person, if they saw my physique, they would give me a 3. So that's that. But I'm thinking of making a video on standards because I think it's all a bit weird that people freaked out about that. Yeah, I mean, snow. Yeah, there's a little bit of snow. Not that much. He probably thought Erzoviak was juicing. No. When you work with enhanced people and you see enhanced muscle on a daily basis, you recognize natural muscle because natural muscle looks natural. What do you think about Evangelion? I watched it a long time ago and I have no memories of it. I know it's really good. What do you think about benching 2 days in a row? Not good. Even with different variations, you're still hitting the same muscle group. So to me, 48 hours in between muscle groups would be a bare minimum. Have you watched Dan Da Dan? Yeah. I almost dropped it episode 1 because of the rape scene, where I was like, okay, like, is this just shock value? Where is this going? I understand why the author included that when they wrote the manga, because unfortunately you have to capture the attention of the audience or else you get dropped. But I don't see why it was important or relevant to include in the anime, especially since that episode was like not even PG anything. Like, it was like all public, and they didn't include that like in the rating. And then every episode after that, they include like sexual violence, and there's no sexual violence. So I don't know. I think maybe there was backlash. I don't know. It was just like, it was even poor storytelling, because so far in the series it hasn't become relevant at all. It's one thing to talk about like Okaran's lack of balls, because that's humorous and that's funny. And on top of that, let's be absolutely clear that we are all going to be much more shocked at a woman getting sexually assaulted as opposed to a man. That's just the nature of people. And I think I was watching episode 6 last time, so I'm not on episode 7 yet. Yeah. Thank you for talking about bee pollen. I forgot about how incredible it is. Yeah, bee pollen is the bee's knees, quite literally. Would you ever take TRT in the future, let's say at 50 years old? I don't even want to think about that. Because why would I protect myself at a time where I would need drugs? Right now, my body produces tons of tests. I'm going to live in the moment. And if in the future something happens, I will see. But I've seen with my own 2 eyes examples of men going into their 50s, 60s without the need of these like exogenous hormones doing just fine. So I want to be that guy. I want to be that grandpa that's jacked. Yeah. Also, there's a reason why your test levels drop when you age. The body knows what it's doing. It's just that it knows that maybe you get at an age where it can become detrimental. Hunter x Hunter going crazy. That motherfucker went on hiatus again. And it's so funny because I called it. Like, I think like a month ago, someone was like, HH is back. I was like, no, it's not. He's going to leave again. He's done that to us like for 15 years. I don't trust the guy. Did you have side effects from MSM like pale skin? No. Are you watching Bleach? No, because I don't have the platform. I think it's on Disney Plus. I'm not paying for that shit. Maybe it's on Hulu. I don't know. I'm not paying for that. He had a back surgery. How many back surgeries has he had? Like, let's ask the raw questions. And why did you wait so long? Either give your fucking manga to someone else or get the surgery, but why wait? Thoughts on long distance relationships where you can't ever see each other in person? That's a very bad idea unless you've been dating for years and years and years. Saturday morning at my gym was juicy as fuck. All the storied losers are in force. Was fun to mock them as an addy. Do double biceps pose. When I'm doing that pose, what I look at is the lats more than the biceps. The chest is pretty good too. NH, how can I build up my work capacity after being off the gym for a year? You pick up where you left off, but slowly, with less volume. That's the price to pay. Would you ever collab with Jason Genova? Unfortunately, the club, the Genova club is restricted, and you don't just enter like this. Also, once you swim in the piss, you reek of piss forever. So that's something to remember. Do you pack the bag for bench press? I don't bench press, so no. How big are your arms? So left, if I can give you like okay, left is 18.4, but not cold. Not pumped either, but like warm-ish. After a warm-up, 18.4. And this one, which is smaller because the bicep is shittier, is 18.1. So on the bulk, this one completely outpaced this one, and I have no idea why. Because I had managed to get them more or less the same size. And what do you actually do for cardio, and what do you suggest? Very good question. So for cardio, I do 2 types of cardio in the gym. I run, funnily enough, but I don't run on treadmills. I run on a mechanical treadmill. So it's the one that is activated by your own pace. They're very hard to use because you have to keep the pace. The pace is not dictated by the machine, it's dictated by you. So if your stride starts to like shorten, the pace is going to go slower, and it can be really hard. I'm right now I'm working on managing a 10-minute mile pace, which is not fast at all, but it's 10 minutes. Like, I stay steady, and I do that for a mile. I don't run more than a mile. My goal is to get to like a 7-minute mile. And then I do my favorite part of cardio, and also the one that I hate the most because it's the hardest, where I use a backpack. I get on the Stairmasters, and I get on the stairs, and I do it on my tippy toes. So the stair is like this big. If I can show you like this, it's like this big, and I'm only allowed to step here, and it's the grippy part, so it makes it safe. So I'm on my tippy toes, and I put weight in the backpack. I'm now using 80 pounds on top of my body weight, and I do it for 10 minutes. Also, moderate pace. And after these 10 minutes, I want to die. I'm sweating even in winter, and my calves are killing me. So perfect. That's the high intensity cardio that you want. And then I do moderate intensity cardio out in my backyard with weighted carries. So I will do weighted carries for distance. NH, I know you are enjoying the bulk, but would you ever cut just to have more B-roll of you shredded? If I ever cut, I will do it because I want to see what my body looks like without the fluff, not because I want the ability to look good on social media. Is this the only work you do for calves? No, I do progressive overload with 2 types of calf raises, SSB and belt squat. I also do a ton of tibialis raises, at least 3 times a week. And then on top of that, I do cardio. And then on top of that, I do weighted carries. One that I've started doing that is brutal is I have a Yusufor stone with handles because it's made of metal. So I will grab onto the Yusufor like this, and it's like in front of me, and I will on my tippy toes walk like this. And it's 100 pounds. So it's brutal. And do you only do rows for your triceps? No. Who does that? Is the training for calves giving results? Do you have numbers? Yes, it is giving results. I started at 16 inches in 2020. My goal was 17 inches that I reached in, I think, 2022. And they're now, so the right one is bigger than the left one, and the right one, I think, is 17.8. So I'm closing in on 18 inches, which is, by the way, small. Calves and arms cannot be compared. I really think that most people, even if you're tall, even if you get into the 18, 19 range, they still look relatively small. Like I'm starting to get like the visual of mass when I'm not pumped and rested. Where, even if you're not pumped and you flex, you should see that there is mass, right? There's no pump here. I'm completely cold, but you see mass. It's really hard to get that visual with calves. That's my goal. Maybe like I think I'm going to start to look like I have big calves at 20 inches, realistically. Which is ridiculous, but that's what I get for not training calves. And that's what we all get in reality. Could be due to calf insertion? No, because I actually have pretty fucking good insertions. And the majority of people, by the way, do. If you think I have bad insertions and you've never trained calves, your calves are not even big enough for you to see what the insertion is. It's the same with lats. A lot of people say I have shitty lat insertions. No, they're just small. Horizontal bicep vent tutorial, genetics, be born with it. Tian Luo, who says best way to get big calves is to gain 200 pounds and live like that for 10 years. Yeah, it's how to get big calves. Either be fat when you were younger or be born Asian. I'm neither of these, unfortunately. My mother bullied me into training calves. That's a good mom. Why don't you bench press? Because I realized it's a waste of time for my build. I used to bench press because I was told you have to bench. How much do you bench? And then I did it and I hurt my shoulder and I hurt my shoulder and I hurt my shoulder. And then one day I realized, oh, why don't I just do push-ups? When I started training, I trained at home, I did push-ups and my chest got massive from it. Why did I go back? Well, because of the powerlifting dogma. I've also since discovered that ring push-ups are just SS tier. Dips are S tier. Why would I waste my time doing that? Are forearms same as calves? I think they're very, very similar, yes. And if you prefer to keep your legs shaven, I don't shave. I hate the idea of shaving my body. The only places I shave are like my armpits for hygiene, but that's it. Are you aware of the politics situation in Romania? No politics on the stream. What specifically about your build is bad for bench press? I have no idea. Maybe narrow shoulders. I don't know. Some people say that narrow shoulders are actually an upside for bench. It's just that it doesn't agree with my shoulders. It never had. Should exomorphs do bench press? In reality, you should try the lift, and if it agrees, it agrees. I'm not saying bench press is bad for bodybuilding. Some people will be able to run like bench press variations for their chest and be just fine. I couldn't. Full bush. Interesting questions. My wife scolded me last stream because she said that I reveal too much about my life. She's even more secretive than I am. Do you believe in somatotypes? No. I believe in morphology. I believe that you have long arms, you have a long torso, short torso, etc. That has a massive influence in the way your body looks naturally, but also in the way your body moves. Somatotypes, however, saying this person is skinny and they were born skinny, that's bullshit. Because throughout my years and my life, I went through ectomorph when I was skinny, then mesomorph when I was fat, and then like the one that everyone wants to be like chadomorph, whatever. What about shoulder pain? But when lateral raising, there's a chance that you rotate the shoulder internally too much. You might raise the shoulder too much. Many things. How much would you weigh if you were 5'10 with same muscle mass? 5'10, realistically, probably 190, 195. Any advice from me as an ex-athlete who competed in MMA and breakdancing, who became lazy for a year after being burned out from studies and breakups? Start doing it bit by bit and start with the things that you used to love. If you love breakdancing, breakdance, bro. And then you're going to find that some hypertrophy training will make you better at breakdancing. So you're going to implement that and you get the ball rolling. Where did you get the shirt? Actually, my mother-in-law got me that shirt, believe it or not, because she knows I'm a weeb. So she had no idea who that person was on the shirt. She just thought he looked like me, so she got it for me. And it's now my favorite shirt. And I get a lot of fist bumps and a lot of attention based on that shirt. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu fans at the gym. I actually know a guy who has a Gojo tattoo on his thigh. He has the domain expansion on his thigh. Did she ask what's your type? Well, I mean, I'm married to her daughter, so she knows what my type is. What made you move to the States? General persecution by the French government. And I'm not even kidding. And I've never seen a jacked person from my ethnicity. I'm Ethiopian. It's disheartening and makes me feel like being Neri is a waste. Well, you're silly. You send me your physique. You're jacked. So what the fuck are you talking about? You are your own ethnicity and you are able to build muscle and you're just getting started. Ethiopians, les Ethiopiens, me cassez pas les couilles, tend to have like pretty long physiques with long legs, just like you do, right? It's a particular genetic predisposition of your people, but it doesn't mean that you cannot get jacked. As a foreigner in France, why would you be in France as a foreigner? I'm very careful what I say. I'm terrified of the government. You could go out and like rob an old lady and they would do absolutely fucking nothing. You're fine. There's no government in France. It collapsed recently. All right. So, multiple things that are going to happen. First off, I actually have a screen in front of me that is going to allow me to check on my own stream. So I'm going to turn it on. I'm disappointed in my wife. I'm not even in our recommended. All right. We're good. So now I will be able to know if there are black screens so that I can like ditch that reputation that I have of being a boomer. Is your wife into bodybuilding? No, not at all. All right. Y a-t-il des progrès technologiques depuis le dernier stream? Bah oui, regarde. I have 3 screens. I don't know what else I can do for you guys. I have one here, and one here. All right. So we're going to start right now so that we can have a steady pace. And I'm actually going to plug the laptop too. Okay, we're plugged. We are equipped. We are ready. All right, so are we doing alphabetical order again? Yes, but we're going to start with neutral ops. Oh, organic organist. It's been a while since I've seen you. How are you doing? Okay, let's begin. So I have this open, but I will need this because I'm going to have to go check on the messages. And as I said, this is Chad Edition because there are so many crazy physics today. You guys are going to be blown out of your chairs. So if I click here and I click here, did I do something stupid again? I do many things that are stupid. I recognize that. Okay. So I opened this. All right. So we're going to begin with our friend neutral ups. And if you're wondering what a neutral up even is in the first place, it's a pull up with your hands pronated. That's pretty much that. That's a pretty cool name. All right. Let's begin the physique review. Share screen. Share. Ah, black screen. Black screen on first try. Wow. Wow, YouTube sucks. Wow. Wow. Okay. On first fucking try, you guys. Do you understand that this is $1 billion platform and that I have yet to figure out screen shares? Holy fuck. YouTube, get your shit together. It's fucking embarrassing. Again? Nah. Nah, what the fuck? How is it possible to be that bad? Now it works? No, it doesn't work. I have my screen, I see it. It doesn't work. Okay, try number 3. Aha, voila. Do you understand? Do you understand that it took 3 tries to do something that fucking basic? Holy fuck. All right, we finally have it. Thank God for the tablet. Okay, so this is our friend Neutral Ops. All right, we're gonna read. If I go here, you guys cannot see it, so that's perfect. You can keep seeing that. So let's see what Neutral Ops has to tell me. A little bit of introduction. So Neutral Ops says, boom, 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 boom. Load more. Hey man, 3 years. So he's been training for 3 years. He went from 130 pounds, so 59 kilograms, to 73 kilograms. So that's a gain of almost 15 kilos. And he is 5'8". And he also mentioned that he is currently recomping. Okay, so let's get on with the review, shall we? So this picture number 1. First off, what jumps to my eye is the abs, right? There's a general lack of core development, which might be because you are slightly a little bit bulked up, but that shouldn't be an excuse because I look at your legs, for example, and they're fairly defined. So you need to focus more on this. Since it's a picture taken from down under, I also understand that it's not doing any favor for your upper body, but your chest seems pretty developed. Let's look at the next picture. All right, your back. So upper body and upper back in particular, pretty developed, right? You have good terrace, you have good traps. The neck could get some work from the back and be a little bit thicker. It would be a better look. You have decent triceps. The forearms seem to need a little bit of work, and the posterior chain as well. Okay, we have a back double bicep afterwards. All right, so as I said, we see that there's actual good definition and work in the traps, upper body. You have good erectors too. The lats are a bit lacking. The triceps from this angle are a bit better. The biceps, though, really need work. Biceps, forearms, absolutely focus on these. Okay, you have a lat spread. So we see from that lat spread that there's an issue, right? Because it's a lat spread, but my eyes go straight to your erectors. I don't even look at your lats here. Okay, a little bit of a bicep flex. So yeah, indeed, the biceps, you seem to have fairly long insertions, right? You might only be able to fit one finger in here, no pun intended. So bicep, but look, your shoulder is mugging your bicep. Like your front delt is very developed, so that's good. You have very good traps, very good front delts. But the lats, that's really what I would want to see. I would want to see that connection between the rib cage and your armpits fill up a bit. Okay. The chest here, it doesn't look good, but it's normal because your arms are raised. That's perfectly natural. Okay, so here we see the end of your bulk. So that's 74 kilograms. All right, a little bit fluffy, but not too bad. You seem to carry a bunch of weight and fat in your core. This is why I would want to see much more ab development for you, much more isolation for you, because your traps are like ridiculously big. Your shoulders are good, your chest is good, but my eyes go here. They go in the middle. Your tattoo is cool as fuck, though. That's a pretty cool tattoo of a knight. Yeah, and your neck. See, if your neck was like slightly out here, you would look amazing. You would look like a pit bull. Okay, so that's when you are a bit leaner. And we see that you had some ab development, but at this level of vascularity and leanness, I should see them much more. So core, core, core. All right. Likewise, when you are even skinnier, they were like visible because you have no fat, but they're not hypertrophied. Okay. The hamstrings, as I said, posterior chain needs work. Your glutes need work, no homo, but you have a small ass. And that cannot be. We cannot tolerate that as bodybuilders. Okay. But the traps, again, dominant. Yeah. Shoulders, traps. As far as the legs, I didn't really mention or like talk about the legs. Your quads are developed. And honestly, I wouldn't necessarily tell you to hammer them that much because they're in line with the rest of the body. So if you keep training them as you have, you'll be just fine. Yep. We see that lack of biceps here. And actually, from that angle, you see the brachioradialis is actually very thick compared to the biceps. So that's the last picture that I have of you neutral up. So as a recap, you don't need to cut. Do not make the mistake of cutting. Recomp or slow bulk, focus on biceps, posterior chain, lats, neck, and abs. This is your homework going forward. Okay, so that's one review. Excellent. One review in the bag. Yeah, it's very easy homework. Honestly, like this is a very good like base physique where there's no drastic need for a crazy bulk or a crazy cut. You literally just have to focus on training. It is that easy. Okay, that was number one. That was neutral ups. I'm gonna get some water. Please remember to stay hydrated. So the next one on our list is, if I'm not mistaken, Arthur. Yes. So let's get to Arthur. I don't know if you're on the chat, Arthur. So, and for the people who are saying, oh, I should have submitted, it's fine. You're going to have plenty of opportunities. I love these streams. I love making them for you guys. It's fun as fuck. And if you want a written review, you can go on the coffee and get one whenever you want. Okay. Let's do Arthur. So Arthur is already like, we're starting with like the really, really good physiques right off the bat. Okay. So boom, boom. Sure. Window. Huh? Oh, because it's closed. My God, this is stupid. This is stupid. Okay, so it has to be open. Okay. Okay. Share. Perfect. Okay, so we have Arthur. Zooming in, we have someone who is already very conditioned. So I would not be surprised if this was before a show. Right? It's not crazy level of lean, but this is, in my opinion, shredded territory. So we see the start of the Christmas tree. We see the back. We see good biceps, actually even very good biceps, because as opposed to neutral ups, they mug the shoulders. They're bigger than the shoulders from the back. So that peak is quite something. The forearms are not bad. We see that they're in line. There's some bulk here. So they could be bigger, but that's pretty much everyone. I think that the shoulders is really where the work needs to be put in. The neck from the back is in line with the jaw, so I don't have much to say about that. You can hypertrophy that if you want to. The traps are good. There seems to be a dominance of upper traps as opposed to the mid and lower traps in particular, who disappear a bit. It might be a conditioning issue. It might just be that you just need to train them harder. The lats and the teres and everything are developed. The insertion seems to be pretty high, which gives this illusion that they're small, but they're really not. And the rhomboids and erectors are solid, right? The waist is trim, so that's excellent. And then big glutes. And the legs, see, this is what happens when you have long legs. I think that if you look at the torso, the proportion make the legs look a little bit slim, but that's because they're long. The hamstrings are here, you can see, because of the conditioning. But yeah, tall guys can't go around that. You have to really hammer your legs, especially if you have that type of proportions. All right, then we have a flex from the front. Very good chest, like excellent chest. The shoulders are lacking. So that's what we saw from the back. They could be bigger, especially the side delts, right? The side delts, front delts, you need to skew your program a bit, include more vertical pressing, and take a step back from horizontal pressing because your chest is already there. The biceps are tremendous. Veins, they're popping, this is not a biceps pose. So the fact that they're that dominant already tells me a lot. The forearms, as I said, from the back we saw, are good. I wonder about the triceps though. We'll see, the poses if the triceps need work. And we see from the front that indeed the lat insertion is quite short. It attaches very high on the rib cage. The traps are great, right? The front traps are great, and your neck is quite something. The core, however, this is a level of leanness that should have a full definition of the core, and I don't see it. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, another good picture in good lighting, and we see even better definition and conditioning, especially in the legs. All right, so there is development in the quads. It's just that he has long legs. The biceps are great. The forearms are great. The lats need work, and the vacuum really is the pose that saves your ass if you don't really have a good core hypertrophy, I guess. So you can pull it off in that fashion, but I would still like the abs to be developed. But the waist is tremendously slim, so that's great because now any size you're going to add to your shoulders and your upper body is going to be doubled because it's the waist that dictates the proportions of the upper body. Okay, then we see the forearm, so very developed too. We see that the obliques are pretty developed as well, so that's good. That's a good look. And then we have, I think this is the second to last picture. So we see again that chest, that very dominant chest compared to these shoulders that need to be brought up. The triceps here is tough to judge too, but I would still say that they can really grow because they're really dwarfed by the biceps, and the legs are good. This picture is really the money maker. This is a beautiful shape, beautiful pose. You can see the striations of the chest. You can see the whole obliques being shredded like filet of fish. You see the serratus. This is if you had better actual ab development, it would be incredible. More shoulders, more triceps, more core, and this is it. The traps are huge. The neck is huge. That's great. And then I think this is the last picture that we have of Arthur, where we see the chest again, and we see the triceps are indeed lacking. So yes, Arthur, going forward, my advice for you is focus on vertical presses, focus on isolating the rear and the side delt as much as possible, focus on tricep isolation, and focus on core. I think that your legs are what they are and are going to still be brought up. Your lats are what they are because of the insertion, but you have these areas of shoulders, triceps, core that must be hammered, and it will take your physique to the next level. In terms of body composition, you're lean as fuck, so slow bulk all day, every day. Very good, very good. Okay. Is this single-digit body fat? I think he's flirting with that. You could make the case that he's between 9 and 11% here. But see, that's a very good natural physique, and that's the physique of someone who has 5, 10, 15 years of hypertrophy in front of them. He has so much room for improvement. And that's true for the majority of people. But it's to tell you guys that are not at that level yet that you're just getting started because he's also just getting started, quote unquote. So that's really good. And let's see what Arthur actually had to say. If I remember, he was not very expensive in the information that he provided me. So this is why I didn't really feel the need for an introduction, but I think it's always good to check. Okay. And he's French, so of course. But très bonne shape, mon ami. So this is a little bit of background on Arthur that we just saw. He's been training for 4 years. So to get to that level in 4 years is extremely good. But before that, he was an athlete and he was a runner. So this also gives you some context. His lifts, he does pull-ups with, I think it's 135 pounds for 3 reps. So that's relatively weak. 270 pounds bench press, but he hates it, which is not surprising with your build. Don't do it if you hate it. He has a 405 times 10 running deadlift, a 405 time 1 squat, 500 pound 5 times on the deadlift. So these are pretty solid lifts, and he's 25. So as I said, he has 10 years of like the best progress of his life, and he's 190 at 6 feet. Realistically, this is someone that can add 10 to 15 pounds of lean mass in the next 15 years. Yeah, and you'll see a bunch of people like this on the stream today who haven't been training for very long, but who had a background as athletes and who made tremendous progress, which is not surprising. Arthur in French is pronounced Arthur. We don't do the th thing. We say Arthur. Okay, excellent. Then we have Barbarian, and he is like true to his name, because when I saw his physique, I was like, holy fuck, is this the second coming of Dorian Yates? I think this is probably one of the best natty backs I've ever seen in my whole life. And this is going to be like picture number 1. You're going to be shocked. But before that, let me find his entry to see if there is advice that I need to share right now or later. Okay. So he is 25. So the man that I'm going to show you guys is 25. He started lifting when he was 17. So he's been training for a total of 8 years. So that's pretty old. But on top of that, he also wrestled in high school. And I will tell you later his a villain origin story. It's pretty funny. But let's just not waste any time and let's share that fucking beast that just stumbled upon my feed, and I was like, holy fuck. Window. Boom. Look at that back and tell me that's not one of the best backs we've ever seen. Look at this shit. Like, this is Dorian Yates level of back development. He's like barn door fucking wide. It's insane. And on top of that, the arms are not even mugged by the back. Look at the shoulders. Like, look at the arms. This here is like insane. And if I were to criticize, like, I cannot touch these straps. Like, they're what they're supposed to be. You could criticize a little bit like of like the real delt development and maybe like teres minor, maybe the lats, but the what the fuck effect is so strong that it's really hard to even try and nitpick. And this is someone who has like a pretty large waist, but his back is so thick and big that it just makes you forget. No one is going to look at the waist here. Your arms are like captured by what's up there. Then the posterior chain is more like, unfortunately, you go back down to earth because it's not as developed. And I would love to see it more developed. Because if this guy brings up his glutes and hamstrings and calves, holy fuck, that pose from the back is game over. It's crazy. He looks like a king crab. This is from the front. So we have a clear case of someone who is back dominant. And surprisingly, it's extremely common. I've done now maybe 30 or 40 physique reviews for people, and I see a bunch of people who are back dominant. I don't know what in the current culture of fitness has created that. Maybe it's the myth that you're supposed to do twice as much pull as push, which is nonsense, that creates this, but still from the front, it's pretty good. As I said, wide waist. I'm in the same boat. I have a wide ass waist. You can make it work if you're thick as a gorilla. Look at these arms. Look at the thickness in the arms, in the forearms. The shoulders could actually be bigger. I think so. But they're pretty huge. Good traps, good chest. And high body fat, by the way. This is for bodybuilding standards, of course. It's a high body fat physique, but it's a really good looking physique. Okay, another very good pose. We see the legs are like slightly smaller than I would like them to be honestly. But yeah, traps and shoulders, like I take it back, the shoulders are huge. When it comes to the upper body, the real focus should be put on the chest and on the core. And then more quads. Right? So that's short hair. I think you look pretty cool with long hair because you actually look like Conan the Barbarian. Yeah. And I have a tough time knowing if this is someone with a like white clavicles or if his shoulders are just that big. That fucking back again. It's gonna haunt my dreams. Yeah, these straps are like perfect. But you see, this is what I mean when I say high body fat. Because there's not much definition, but you don't need that much definition. And look at the forearms. Like also triceps from the back are underrated as fuck. Look how cool it looks when you have a lot of long head development. It looks like a ham. I don't know if he's in the chat. Is he in the chat? Barbarian, are you in the chat? Yeah, and he stores a lot of fat in his bag, but who gives a fuck? He's huge. Yeah. And I think the long hair suits you, dude. I think you should go back to that style. I'm not saying that because I'm also rocking that. More back. I included every picture of this guy's back, just like for inspiration. Beautiful. There seems to be a shoulder imbalance. Your left shoulder seems to be higher than the right. Maybe something to look into if you have shoulder problems, but outside of that, maybe some, like, as I said, maybe the erectors could get more work, but your rhomboids and your lats eat up part of the erectors. That's why they're not visible. And then that pose is really good too from the front. Right? So no shreds, but how many people would kill to look like this? Right? Look at the traps. Look at where they connect at the shoulder and look where they connect at the neck. They connect like almost underneath the ear. Look at like this triangle here. This entire thing here is just mass. Yeah, chest needs to be brought up, but the arms, nothing to say. The core needs to be brought up, and then the legs. But I don't know if that's the last picture. No, that's the last picture. So the triceps are insane. Again, this is not someone who is lean. This is someone who has tricep definition just by sheer size, by sheer virtue of the size. And the upper back is beautiful, as expected. But yeah, Barbarian, if you're watching this as a replay, keep doing whatever the fuck you're doing for upper back because it is working. Keep doing whatever the fuck you're doing for arms. I would like to see more focus on your chest, more focused on the real delt to really complete the back, and more focused on the core. And then build up your posterior chain as much as possible, and you're going to be unstoppable. But now we're going to, I'm going to go back to the fucked up picture of like the first back. That we're going to be here, and I'm going to read you a bit of this guy's backstory. So he started wrestling, and he decided that he wanted to bulk up because he was tired of being bit in wrestling because he wanted to seduce a girl. It's funny how many of us started bodybuilding for a girl that we didn't end up getting because he didn't get the girl that he wanted. And then we just realized, wow, we actually love doing that. And that's exactly what he did. He actually has issues with like injuries and stuff, but he still manages to be that big. So really, kudos to you, dude. And he also is someone who started powerlifting and focusing on strength and realizing that actually he only really cared about his physique. So that's cool. As far as stats go, because you could think, well, that's just a manlet. He's 6 feet tall and he added 5 feet 11, 3-4 inches, but that's our secret. That's no longer a secret. It's on the internet now. He's 200 pounds, so that's a big boy. 17 inches arms. Now, look at his arms. You could say 19 inches. In the chat, can you guys tell me why they look so big? There's a very simple anatomical explanation. Short arms. Yes. Short arms, long sweep of the tricep, and that's bingo. This is the reason why measurements are a bit iffy, and you shouldn't just go by them because someone's 17 inches is someone else's 19 inches visually. The forearms are 14.5. They look huge for 14.5. The neck is 16. The calves are 16. The quads are 24. So I would like to see your quads go up to at least 26. Chest and back is 43 inches. That could go up to 45 easily with more chest. and the waist is 34. We have the same waist size at the same height, and he makes it work. So if you have a big waist, it's not an excuse. He runs the Doomslayer push-pull leg, which is a program that I released. It's on Bootcamp. And he says traps and lats are probably the biggest thing I want to improve. Bro, I don't think there's much room to improve in your traps. Maybe your lats a bit. I really want to see the focus on chest and posterior chain. So that's our story with our friend Barbarian. And that's one of the many long list of incredible physiques that we have for the day. Whew. So, how are you guys doing? Good? No black screens. I've been on top of it. That one is going to be hard to top. There's another one that is freaky as fuck too. I decided to bulk after seeing his physique. High body fat is not a curse. If you do things properly and you gain muscle and not fat. I need to know what bro does for upper back. What is your favorite aspect of fitness? This communication, talking about the community. I cannot tell you how good it feels to really feel connected, because so much, like, my issue with fitness is that it oftentimes feels like we're screaming into the void. And it feels like we don't really have an impact. And to have guys like this who reach out and say, hey, I've been training for like this long, and like I've been following your advice and it really helped, thank you. When I see dudes like this who blow my fucking mind, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that in vain. I'm not wasting my time. It actually has an impact. It has consequences. But keep in mind that guy has been lifting for 8 years. That's 8 years. How are you able to filter out fake natties when physiques are submitted? My eyes. If someone is a fake natty, I will not include them. And if they have a physique that is achievable natty, even if they got it with drugs, I don't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, it sucks for them. They did something dangerous to get something that they could have gotten anyways. How can you send money via YouTube? You can't. My channel is not monetized. If you absolutely want to send me money, which I won't say no to, you can just click on the coffee page. It's in the description. And I think, yes, it's also now in the pinned comments. Voilà. All right. Yeah. And he also does look like the Doomslayer. But I think you should go back to the long hair. Okay. Next one is Bootmaker. And Bootmaker also has a very good physique. Now let's see what Bootmaker had to tell me. Mr. Boot. Boot. Where are you, Boot? It's always so hard to find these names. Okay, Bootmaker. Bootmaker has been training for 2 years. All right, so this is the physique of someone who's been training for 2 years. You're going to be shocked by this guy's evolution and by some of these physiques. And then I'm going to tell you his numbers and everything. But let's get right on to the pictures. So this one is closed. Bootmaker. Boot. All right. Okay. Share screen. Okay. All right, boot. So, picture from the front. All right, right off the bat, what strikes me is core. I want to see these abs. All right, core development is paramount. The forearms are really good. The biceps, maybe not the best pose for me to judge your biceps on this. I see some tricep sweeps, so we're going to reserve judgment for later. The chest is fairly lean. You don't seem to carry that much fat in the area. The shoulders are pretty good. This is also not a good picture to be judging traps, but the neck is from the front. All right, this was boot before. Okay, we're going to go back to these pictures. This was boot before he picked up a weight, before he started training calisthenics. And this was him from the front. So look at the contrast. Right, we still see everything that was in this physique. It's still there. It's still the same frame. It's still the same muscle insertions. It just doubles in size. And that's what bodybuilding is supposed to do to you. Right? This is what we must sell people. It's the ability to transform your body. That was 2 years of work. Who cannot put in 2 years of work? Like, honestly. All right, another good picture from the front. So here we see good shoulders, right? The chest is also good, which is rare. Usually you get one or the other. Maybe the shoulders are a little bit dominant, but not that much. The biceps from this pose are indeed in need of more work to actually go in line with the forearms, and the core. Absolutely more core development. But the back is where it's at, which is not that surprising because he's a calisthenics bro. But look at this Christmas tree. Like this, it's December 7th. Put that shit away, dude. You can see like each individual parts and fibers of the muscle. It's crazy. Now, a lot of that is genetics. It depends on your insertions. But that is, to me, I think that's a really good look. I would want to see more muscle around it to complement that crazy freakiness. So a little bit more lats, a little bit more traps, a little bit more everything, because that upper back to me screams potential. I look at the front and you can still grow from the front, but this to me is the area where you're going to be able to make the biggest difference, especially if your triceps get bigger. That's going to be quite the sight to behold, especially since you don't seem to have a very large waist. All right. So now we see the back, I suppose, pumped and flexed. So that's a good lat spread, but there is so much real estate for more size. Like just in the traps area, that could just blow up even more. The triceps area, the lats can get a little bit more. The real delts are actually quite developed, but teres minor and major. But again, this is 2 years of training, right? This is someone who's been training not a long time, in my opinion, and that will keep growing. This is not the natty limit. This is the start of the journey, and that's quite inspiring. So we see again more. I want to see more traps. Okay, the legs. All right. The glutes are actually pretty good, right? But the issue is the hamstrings. So you might be the type of person who, when they do hip hinges, for example, they get all of it in their glutes. So you have to find ways to maybe not bend the knee as much. I would recommend stuff like hyperextensions, like leg curls, like Romanian deadlifts, with a barbell pushing against the quad so that you cannot bend the knee. And the quads seem to be fairly developed. And then a good picture from the front. All right, so legs have a lot of room to grow and a lot of room to improve as well. But the forearms really strike me as dominant in your arms genetic. The biceps need to be brought up. The entire upper body in reality, I said, it had less potential than the back, but it's slightly. There is a lot of space to grow here. And this is a really good picture. I think that pose is very aesthetic because it really showcases the like anatomy of the back, the forearms, the triceps. That's a great look. And I'm going to leave you guys on this page and I'm going to read you the information that he gave me. So he is 176 centimeters, so that's 5'9", and he's 74 kilograms, so that's give or take 175 pounds. He started 2 years ago, and he started at 58 kilograms. So from 58 kilograms to 74, that's almost, that's give or take like 15 kilograms of gain in 2 years. That's fairly realistic for most people who start skinny. Now, I'm not going to claim that this guy has average genetics. He most likely has above average genetics, but this is a transformation that I 100% buy. 16 inches arms, which is very good. In terms of lifts, he has so that's 240-pound bench times 6. He has a 3-plate squat times 4. He doesn't deadlift, only RDLs, which I'm not surprised by this, but I think you need to find a way to bias the hamstrings more because you are getting the RDLs in your glutes, like many people do. And he says, yes, my hamstrings are average. You understand that, so you're going to keep growing. And he shares his split, so he does a push-pull leg, which is a very good split. Bad reputation on the internet, but something that you can grow from. And he's 25 years old. So again, someone who has 10 years of growth in front of them at least. And that's that. So Boot, as a recap, you are lean enough that you really don't need to cut. You can continue just lean bulking and putting on mass. You should be focusing on abs as a priority. You should be focusing on posterior chain and on growing your legs as a priority. And then in terms of muscles to target more, you have insane potential for the back, specialize and prioritize your back, and keep growing the front of the body, the shoulders, the biceps, etc., the way that you have, with a focus and an emphasis on biceps so that they catch up to your forearms. Okay. Very good. Any questions in the chat? And H, how often training abs would you recommend? When you start twice a week, and then you can go up to 3 times a week. What would you recommend to someone who overbulked going from 144 to 187 in a few months? Cut. You just got fat. How do you cook rice? In a rice cooker. Is there any other way? Are people in the chat really cooking their rice in a pot with water that they boil like a peasant? Ouf, mon dos. Recommendation for underdeveloped posterior chain. Start your leg days with a posterior chain movement and find a posterior chain movement that you like. There are so many of them. Like you have good mornings, you have RDLs, any variation of the RDL, you have hyperextensions. What is the ideal bodybuilding height? In my opinion, between 5'7" and 5'9". That is the best range. You're not too short, so you don't look stocky, and you're not so tall that it's hard to put on muscle. If you're within that range, consider yourself blessed. I know that the internet has made people think that 5'8" is like horribly short. That's bullshit. I very rarely come across guys who are my height and above who look big. Most of the dudes that I come across at the gym who are taller than me, they are skinny because they're lankier and it takes longer for them to build up the mass. Recomp advised, I just need to be patient. Yes. Unfortunately, the recomp is a test of patience because it's like all based on performance in the gym. Any advice for people who start fat? If you're fat, start with a cut. And then once you're like, you enter skinny fat range or skinny range, then you can build. But if you're skinny fat, don't do that. It's a mistake. What do you do to look aesthetic if you have very wide hip bones? You build up your obliques and you build up what's around it so that people don't look at your hips. So your lats, your core, your chest, your shoulders. Okay. Excellent. Can reverse lunges replace RDLs? Absolutely. Reverse lunges are a great exercise that is underrated because people think it's like the shittier version of a lunge. No, it's a different movement. Being 6'5" is a pain to fold the frame. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Next entry, we have Fabio. Oh, and Fabio is another French guy whose physique is really fucking crazy. His back in particular. The amount of incredible backs that I've seen in this review is something else. So I almost clicked on end stream. That's stupid. Fabio. So before I show the pictures, let me give you a little bit of a background. So he sent me all the pictures, load more. And he sent me more. Okay. So he started training in 2010, and he started doing powerlifting because it was all the rage back then. I did the same thing. And he got to pretty serious performances. So he got to a 6-plate squat, a 3.5 bench, and a 6.5 deadlift. So these are very serious numbers. He got hurt, unsurprisingly, and then he started to shift his focus to bodybuilding, which is a really good idea. Now, when I read this, I was expecting a physique of someone who is going to have to do a lot of work. This is not what I got, because if I can get this picture, yep, live, window, boom, and share. This is what Fabio looks like. So I think that many powerlifting bros would love to be able to say that they fell for the powerlifting meme and end up looking like this. Now, this is someone who, again, made that mistake and then corrected that mistake. The reason why you can tell immediately this is someone who used to powerlift and used to have a 6-plate squat and a 7-plate deadlift is, look at these legs. Look at the size of these hamstrings. This is someone who's somewhat lean. So we cannot put that on the account of, oh, he's just like carrying fat. No. That bulge you see is pure muscle mass. You can also see that the glutes are ginormous. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to show that on YouTube because holy fuck. The quad sweep is there. He has quad veins, for God's sake. So yeah, this is... in this area, there's absolutely nothing to say. I will not say anything about your legs, Fabio. Keep doing whatever you're doing. Looking at the upper body. Traps are ginormous. Again, look at what they connect. They connect behind the fucking neck. Look at this. Look. Do you see that? It's like they're connected to like the cervical spine. They're wrapping around. It's like this entire triangle here is just pure muscle. Right? And the insertion is just magnificent. It's beautiful. It's deep. It's crazy. So the traps are just A++. The shoulders are pretty good too. The tattoos look cool. The arms, good tricep sweep, although I know the trick. You're pushing your triceps using your lats. We've all done it. The chest from this angle looks to be lacking. So maybe that's the one area where I'm going to be able to be a bit severe with you. Good forearms. Not much to say from that angle. Okay. A good double bicep that is going to give you much more give us much more information. So, core. With this level of leanness, I want to see more core. You need to isolate your abs. Thank God you don't have a perfect six-pack. That way I can actually be a bit critical. Lats from the front, I would say good. There is mass here. They could be bigger, 100%. And the chest, this is not a good pose to judge the chest. Shoulders, arms, great. And the neck, right? This is what I say when I talk about in line with the jaw. It's exactly here. The jaw is here, and the neck is right there. That's the aesthetic standard that you want for your neck. Anything more than that will make you look like a bull, which is not bad. Okay. Let's see if I can find a picture of the back. Yes. So this is Fabio's back, relaxed, right? You don't just base your assessment of his back off of that picture, okay? He is relaxed, right? Very good traps, you can see. Good neck from the back, good lats, everything. The triceps are actually jacked as fuck. Like, there's a lot of mass in the triceps. Okay, now let's see what the back looks like when he's not relaxed. Okay. So on the lat spread, well, that's a completely different beast, right? I don't mean to insist or be creepy, but holy fuck, these glutes. I'm currently rereading Baki, and there's a character named Musashi, after Miyamoto Musashi, whose glutes look like this, or they look like stones sticking out. Maybe do a little bit less, because you make me very uncomfortable. Like, this is the ass of someone who squats 6 plates. Like, this is what you end up with. Your back is very short compared to your legs too. I don't know if it's the proportions that make it look like that, but great traps. He has a demon back, right? You can actually see the eyes here. That's a face. That's a demon back right there. Excellent. Not much to say. All right, give me something that I can criticize you on. Come on. Okay, front relaxed. The chest, actually, as I suspected, is not that bad at all. The abs are bad. So, but your obliques and like your, ce qu'on appelle la ceinture d'Apollon, that V is really well defined. So if I were to be nitpicky, I would just say get a bit more of everything. If you can manage to grow forearms, biceps, shoulders, and chest all together, you'll look even more insane. If you can somehow, Fabio, manage to get an upper body that matches your lower body, I don't think we can continue having you in public. I think we're going to have to put you in a cage. Okay. Okay, we have a front flexed. Right. So maybe, okay, let's not, maybe the chest needs more work. Okay, so maybe chest and core. Chest and core, and the upper chest in particular. Okay, Jesus Christ. Like, do you understand that there are surgeons who are trying to replicate this and they fail? Like, this is beyond nature. Holy, I have like my ass is upsettingly huge, but this is crazy. We're not going to spend a million hours, but look at the legs. Even the calves are huge. Like, that lower body is perfect. It's perfection. And the back in general, I mean, yeah, that's it. Looking at your front, Fabio, if I can give you any advice, I want strong focus on the core and the obliques, strong focus on the lats and the chest, train your biceps, and that's that. Keep the rest, keep doing what you're doing. And you're at a body fat where there's no justification for cutting. You can lean bulk ad infinitum. So let's go back on that crazy ass picture, quite literally, and I'm going to read you the information that he sent me. So, as I said, he used to powerlift. He had some crazy lifts. And in terms of historic, he used to play basketball. He also loves to ski, which skiing actually grows your legs to a crazy extent. So I'm not surprised. He started training at 23 years old. And he gained 25 kilograms the first 2 years because he was just bulking like a pig. His words, not mine. And then in 2016, he discovered powerlifting, and that's what he did for 6 years. So when you look at his legs, this is 6 years of powerlifting for a guy who was already training before. And he partook in the French championship in 2022, and he totaled 695 pounds. So I'm going to have to use a converter. ABS 2 kilogram. Okay. What the fuck? So he had a 15,000 total, which is commendable. He was in minus 93 kilograms, which is the 205 category. So not competitive internationally, but in France, I suppose it is. Then he went and he partook in the European Championship for bobsleigh. I don't know what that's doing here, but okay. And then he started to focus on aesthetics. So his focus for aesthetics started less than 2 years ago, meaning that upper body is going to keep growing 100%. Okay, and he's following a program that he sent me. Perfect. And on top of that, and this is something that I wanted to add, if I'm not mistaken, this is also someone who is a CEO. So for the people who are like, oh, you need to live in the gym to be able to achieve such a level. No, actually, because the guy is at the head of a company and he still looks like this. And he told me that his focus is arms, which, yes, good. And the scapular belt. Scapular belt, if you want to keep focusing on that, I want more focus on the chest and the abs, please. Please, please, please. I want to see your physique in 2-3 years of focusing on aesthetics and on hypertrophy. You are going to become an absolute monster because you have a lot of potential. That guy is 5'11", and he has, I shit you not, he has a 6'5" wingspan. That's so much real estate for the arms. It's insane. So I'm going to keep an eye on you. Okay. Excellent. Who is this? Fabio, who sent his physique. Okay. I want to give up exercising. These photos should do the opposite. They should motivate you. You're seeing a bunch of guys who have been training for a long ass time and who has physiques that reflect that. Okay. Up, up. Who do we have next? Next we have... I'm actually a bit of an idiot. I have to speed up. I'm way too slow. Okay, next we have Farco. Yeah, there are so many good physiques in this today's entry. So Farco is a young guy who sent me his transformation, and I think this is someone who has tremendous genetics. for aesthetics and bodybuilding, and you're going to see with the pictures. But I really want to like be able to point out why I think this and the areas where he can still continue to improve because he's very young. But let me first find him here. So he sent me his program, he sent me the pictures. More. He's 18 years old, this is for context, and he's been lifting for 3 years, so that's 3 years. That's someone who's still relatively fresh. He said he made tons of mistakes, he program hopped, but he's now on a push-pull leg. So a bunch of people on push-pull legs. And then I'm going to show you guys, tell you guys his stats once I'm done showing his physique. But first, we're going to begin with what Farco used to look like, because he did something that I really liked. He sent me pictures before and after training. So let's begin with these pictures. Up. It's funny because he sort of looked like me when I started training. Share screen. Up. Okay, so here is friend Falco. He started his training journey, and he was extremely small, as you would expect from someone who just got started. So this is what will happen if you have a really big head and you're not jacked. Your head looks ginormous on your body. That's not a good look, right? Looking like a lollipop is not attractive. Thankfully for Falco, he managed to correct that to turn into a Chad. So that's again skinny Falco. Oh, did it work? Did it not work? Yes. Again, skinny. This is what I call toddler arms. You know, toddlers and babies, they have like these tube arms that look like sausages. When you carry these arms into teenagehood, you're not having a good time. I know I used to be one of them. Okay, he has a bird chest. How many people would take one look at these pictures and say, oh yeah, you have bad genetics for muscle building, bro. Just give up. You'll never be jacked. It's a waste of time. Too many to count. Okay, Falco said, fuck that. I'm going to train and see what happens. Right, another double bicep, more sausage arms. Okay, let's see what happens after he trains. Boom. And that's the start of the transformation. Okay, this is already another person. This is already like another man. This is what training is supposed to do for you. To go from kid, from boy, to man. How many years? I'm going to read it afterwards, but 3 years. Okay, this was part of his transformation. Okay, so these are the pictures that he sent me after like that transition period when he was very skinny. But that's just the start. Now we'll go into the rest of the pictures. So this is Falco right now. Okay, look at the insane difference. Very good shoulders, very good arms. We're going to go back to the arms. Insane potential in the arm department. Again, prefacing this, I believe that this is someone who has tremendous genetics. Okay, I'm not going to bullshit you into saying this is average. This is not average. This is not the average transformation. Falco has bodybuilding potential. But you would not have known that if you had looked at his body before he started training. This is why I say, fuck your genetics and train. You will always look better. And best case scenario, you're going to be surprised by how much potential you have. So now, let's actually provide Falco, sorry, with his money's worth. I'm going to criticize your physique. So first off, from this, you have a tiny waist. You have large clavicles. Good. This is something that you're going to have to focus on. All right. Looking at the front double biceps, this is clearly your worst pose. And this is something that we're going to see later. But what jumps in my eyes is the tiny ass waist. This is an asset. It means that whatever upper body you put on is going to look even better. It's going to make your shoulders look even wider. So this is something to be preserved. Please, for the love of God, no dirty bulks. All right? Keep doing the lean bulking. Keep adding lean mass and focus on these lats. They have so much potential. Focus on that core. Once you have a six-pack on that long core, it's game over. Now let's get into the pictures that are, by his own admission, a bit flattering. which nothing wrong with sending me flattering pictures. We see here this right there. All right, this is not photoshopped. I checked. This is just genetics. Right, we're dealing with someone who has large shoulders naturally. We have to bang. We have to bang on that. We have to develop them even more. This is a genetic gift. We cannot rely on that only. Okay, this is structure, guys. This is not training. Right, the shoulders in themselves are not small by any definition of the term, but they can grow. They can keep growing a lot. The chest is actually pretty good. The core needs to be developed. Look at the arms. This is, I think, the one that shocks me the most. The thickness of the arm from the side. This to me is a sign. It's a sign of good things to come, because so many people will have good peaks, good triceps, but from the front, the arms look spaghetti. That's all, again, genetics. If Farco focuses on growing his biceps, growing his brachialis and brachioradialis, that pose from the front is going to look freaky. Okay, a very good pose as well. We see again the thickness of the arm, the thickness of the forearm in particular. Very rare for a young man to have such developed forearms. Imagine that same pose with more shoulders, more chest, more traps, and more abs. That's mugging 101. Like, that's it. Look at the lats. Even the lats can keep growing, but from that angle, they look crazy. The way they connect like this, so high, that's beautiful. Okay. So we see the forearms. In that picture, you look like a lesbian, like, who owns a library in fucking Wisconsin. I don't know what the fuck is going on here, but good forearms. Again, more forearms. You look so much better in that picture. Try to like prioritize that look. You look like Paul Atreides. I think you would have been a better Paul Atreides than the Timothée Chalamet guy, but very good forearms. Again, more forearms flex. Again, this is also genetics. Like, these veins, vascularity in general is genetics. My forearm genetics is all of my veins are inside the arm. He has veins around the arm. Tremendous look. Okay, this is what some people would call a sleeper build. And some people would stop there and say, oh, sure, like, I will be content with that. Fuck that. That's potential. It's an insult to not tap into it. Okay. Good picture. We see the chest. We see the thickness of the arm for such a young man. That's great. All right. Now we see Farco with the boys. If you are the guy on the right, if you're that guy and you're like, I will never be the guy in the middle, I was the guy on the right. Right? It's fine to not have tremendous genetics for muscle building. You will still be able to get jacked. Maybe not as fast as Farco. Compare these two. This is a very interesting comparison. Look where their waist starts. They are roughly the same height. Farco's waist starts much higher. So he has a much shorter torso. Look at the arms. Look where the shoulders are in comparison to each other. Farco's shoulders sit so high compared to the other guy, and his arms somehow manage to be like shorter. They're both bending their arms. Okay, these are morphological differences. You can't do shit about that. It's genetics. There's no reason to focus on this, but Farco has a tremendous build. Okay, and this is painful for whoever is on the left. We also see here the difference in structure between someone who has a somewhat large waist with shoulders that are larger than Farco's, and Farco who has a tiny ass waist and shoulders that should technically be narrower. Which back do you pick? Like, out of a lineup, everyone is going to pick Farco's back. Why? Insertions. Look at the way the teres major pops. Look at the real delt popping. Look at the insertions of the erectors. That's incredible potential. But from the front, not that great. So we now have an area where we know you can put more focus in. But you can see that the difference in shoulder width between the two is insane. And we see here that actually Farco is shorter than that guy. So to have his shoulders sit that much higher is a great advantage. Okay, great back. I think he sent me a gazillion pictures of his back, so I'm not going to show them all for a million hours. But this is structure mostly, right? The traps and the lats can keep growing. Another very good picture, very aesthetic. Right, that picture is fraudulent. He knows this. For some reason, he also likes to take pictures in elevators, maybe because the lighting is really good. But that's what you can do with angles. Okay, and I think that the rest are just pictures of stuff that I've already shown, but essentially showcases the guy's width. Yeah. So this picture is really good too. Right, this is what I was talking when I was talking about thickness of the arm. Okay, so for you, Farco, what do I think your development should focus on? I think that there should be an evident focus on the arms. You should focus on biceps and triceps. Your forearms are already really good. So whatever you're doing for that, if they're just growing like off of pulls, good. Don't do isolation. We don't care about that. You have tremendous potential in your V-taper. Do not sleep on it. Train your lats and train your shoulders. Your upper back is already great. Right? You can keep doing like rows with an open elbow for your posterior chain. The one thing that I noticed is that you did not send me your legs. So I think that this means something. Oftentimes when people don't send me their legs because they have small legs. Do not make the mistake of ending with a triangle of an upper back and tiny bird legs, especially with your build. Your waist is so high, it's going to look ridiculous. So make sure you do your split squats, make sure you do your posterior chain work, and grow your legs. Okay, don't be an upper body bro, please. You have so much potential. It would be too sad. And then train your abs. Okay, abs and chest, priority for you. But I'm going to put you back on this pic as I read you what he sent me. So, for the people who are like, oh my God, he's so big. He is 5'8" and he weighs 165 pounds. Okay? This is what I mean when I say bodybuilding is about illusions. The guy looks tremendous. It really doesn't matter that his measurements are this or that, or that he weighs only this. He's 5'8", which is a great height for bodybuilding, and he has mass where it matters, and he's lean. That's it. What I would want to see from Farco is, going forward, a lean bulk, because this is someone who could go up to 80 kilograms, 85 kilograms easily while staying relatively lean and just keep adding more mass. Right? This is the starter kit. He's been training for 3 years. Do you understand that this is someone that, if he's diligent, is going to get like juice accusations? I'm certain that some people would look at this picture and say, oh, he's juicing. He's one of these teenagers on juice. He's 165 pounds. He's not fucking juicing. But in the future, he will get to 180, 190, and then the accusations will actually make sense. And for his program, I don't have much to add, Farco. I would just like to see less military press, less inclined dumbbell bench, and more straight horizontal presses. Maybe start dips if you finished your growth spurt. Maybe try ring push-ups. That could be a great addition. But keep doing whatever you're doing. He trains legs, albeit lazily. Please do your squats. Okay, you do your back squats. Okay, then keep doing that. But that's it. I don't have much more to add for you, Farco. I will also be keeping an eye on you. Okay. Do you have any questions? I'm going to have to take a bathroom break. I'm about to piss myself. Are there any other lifts that I no longer do because it doesn't work for me? There's so many movements in my graveyard that it's tough to even like keep track. What did I stop doing? A lot of curls just standing up, I no longer do. I like to do a lot of preachers. I no longer do triceps with free weights for the most part. I do mostly cables and the Smith. Yeah. Like the bench is really the number one thing that I just toss to the side. Okay, we're going to take a little break, but then we have to get back to it. So use that break to go to the bathroom or to get water or whatever, and I will be right back. Okay, let us continue. So the next one we have on our list is going to be Allsfat, who sent me very little pictures. So I do not have much to show you guys. Why is this under this weird format? Okay, I think it's working. Okay. So horse fat is a little bit different because he told me that he doesn't really care about aesthetics and that he is mostly interested in getting as big and as strong as possible. So that's going to be a bit different from the other people who focus on aesthetics. And he told me that he's been working out casually. He's been weightlifting for about 2 years. And he's been taking it seriously only recently. He says he doesn't keep track of PRs, which you should always keep track of PRs, especially if your goal is to get stronger. And he is 5'10" ish, and he's 88 kilograms. All right. So let's see what I can do with this, the type of review that I can produce. So is this going to be our first black screen from a... Yeah. Oh, actually, no, it worked. Okay. All right. So in terms of body fat, yeah, you're quite high body fat, probably 22%. You say you don't care about that, but understand that there's really no upside in being that high body fat. It makes you stronger, but what is the point? You're just a novice. It's not like you're like a strongman trying to pump out every extra pound you can get. In terms of muscles, it's really hard to judge someone's physique when they're that high body fat. I would say the arms seem somewhat decent. The chest seems somewhat decent-ish, maybe the shoulders. I would tell you focus on your abs, but at that body fat, it's going to be very hard to see them. So maybe another pose would be better. Okay. So the traps seem to be pretty big, but the issue is that when you're high body fat, it's traps, neck, chest, since they carry so much on them, it's hard to judge. The shoulders, however, seem more developed than the arms. So that's something that I can point you towards, where you should refocus on your upper arm, because that weird like tube visual is not a good look. Okay. Yeah, the shoulders seem to be okay. The chest needs work. So focus on your horizontal presses. Okay, double biceps clearly showcases the fact that you have a shoulder dominance. The forearms are not bad, surprisingly. The neck could be bigger. The traps could be bigger. Lats could be bigger. Chest could be bigger. So bit less of a focus on vertical presses and more of a focus on horizontal presses and vertical pulls. Okay, the back. So we see these shoulders, the traps, the lats are missing in action. So that's why we want to see more effort. Okay. Do I not have the legs? Well, if there are no legs, I can't really talk about the legs. I don't think I have your legs. You're very new to training, so I don't have much to add. On top of that, you say that you don't really care about aesthetics, so keep doing what you're doing, but just be careful with the distribution of exercise selection that you're doing, and keep in mind that, again, bulking at some point is really redundant. The point should be to add weight to perform, but if you already have the weight on you, it's not needed. Yeah, well, that was a quick review. Okay, so that was for horse fat. Next, we're going to do... Roshi asks, Anesh, do you do overhead press? That's another lift that I put in my graveyard. No, I do 80 press on the Smith, because I actually find that I can progress on that lift. Whereas overhead press for me was just doing like this constantly. And what is the point of a lift you cannot progress on? I think it's a bad lift. Okay, then we have Jack and Stoic, who is in the chat, 100%, and who is quite young as well. So I'm going to read you his little information that he sent me. It's always good to have some context. Jack and Stoic, where are you? Well, you have a cat as a profile picture, so it's very easy to find you. Okay. He is Swede. He is a Swede, so already we're mortal enemies. He's 16, so this is a very young kid we're talking about. Lifting for 3 years since he was 13, so that's great. You started young, and he loves lifting, so that's the number one indication that you're going to have a good physique in the future. He always programmed for himself, which is quite ambitious for someone who is so young, but you will make the mistakes that you need to make to learn. And his dream physique is a certain drawing of Baki that he has in his gym. That's cool. Okay. He is 5'11" and 86 kilograms. So for a 16-year-old, you're already a big boy, because 5'11", 180 pounds is a lot. So let's see. Maybe we're going to end up with a chunker who just needs to lose the weight, or we're going to end up with someone who has great potential for mass and is going to just keep growing. Up. Share screen, window. All right. The first picture of the back. Based on this, Stoic, I can already tell you that, thank God you on... that's a black screen. That is a black screen. Thank God for the tablet. I caught it. I caught it immediately. Okay. All right. The Abyss almost got us again. It's just... You have to forgive YouTube. They're a very small company. They don't have much means. All right. Try number 2. Okay. Now it's... So, from this pose, you're not fat. That's great. That's already a very good news, meaning that you will not have to cut. I see calves. I think you have great calves potential. I could see them becoming gigantic. Don't fall into the trap of only training calves and not actually training the arm strings that go with it. Triceps look decent. It's an interesting pose that I've never seen. From that pose, I can tell your forearms really need work. You're 16. I don't know many 16-year-olds who have big forearms. But if you want to go for the Baki physique, Baki has big forearms. So it's something to focus on. But overall, this is a physique that many people would kill for at 16 because it's a very good start. Okay? You have decent width in your shoulders, and you already have a good back development for someone who's so young. So you can be proud of yourself already. You do seem to have a fairly large waist, but it's made up by the fact that your clavicles appear to be long. You, of course, always want to keep that waist in check, train your abs, and don't overbulk, right? You're already at like the highest amount of body fat that I would say is justifiable for someone your age. Your glutes seem to be quite undersized. So they're covered, thank God. Pain cannot be neglected. Okay? So you do look very, very young. Honestly, you look 13. You have a very youthful face, which is going to be a little bit shitty when you're younger, and then when you hit 30, it's going to be amazing. But you have a good core. You have good ab development at this high of a body fat, so that's a good sign. The arms are already not that bad. You have the bicep sweep. You have decent delts. You have a big neck. That's good. That's usually a very good indicator of muscle potential. Okay. There's something that I cannot quite put my finger on when you pose from the back. I think it's one of those shorts that look somewhat weird. I don't know if it's your proportions, if you have very, very long legs, or if you just pull your shorts very high on your waist. But I think the other part is also the arms. The forearms in particular and the biceps seem to be lacking in comparison to the back. So you are, in a sense, starting to enter a phase where you're becoming back dominant. And we want to not necessarily prevent that, keep growing your back, but make sure you train the front just as much. All right, that's a good picture of you because actually we can diagnose something else with your posture, and that is you have a slightly kyphotic posture. Your hips are pushed forward a bit. And it's not lordosis, I don't think it is. But I think if you could align your head, your hips, and your shoulders maybe like 2 or 3 degrees back, you would be better off. You also seem to have very short arms, which is a blessing because, I mean, not necessarily very short, but it means that you're not going to have as many difficulties to build them. The chest from this angle looks decent. You are 16, so I'm not going to chastise you for the lack of thickness that is going to come with time. Okay, the legs for someone your age are very developed. I'm glad that you included a leg pick because the shorts made me think that you were hiding them. So as I said, look at the insertions of the calves. Do you see what they insert? They insert right there. You are going to have cantaloupe calves if you keep training them. And the quads are pretty good too. So posterior chain and calves. Okay, side chest. So as I suspected, biceps, forearms. These are your focus. You have the same neck as Gunther, the bodybuilder who used to have a neck that looked like a fucking serpent. So I know it's not something that I say a lot. Maybe don't train your neck too much because you have a pretty cool like square jawline, and we don't want your neck to mug that. Okay. I don't know if it's just you turning your head, but if this is your daily posture, you need to fix that as soon as possible. Okay. Nice triceps. Again, as I said, the triceps are nothing to sneeze at. It's the front of the arm that needs to be developed. And that is that. So if I were to recap, Mr. Stoic and Jacked, you want biceps forearms. You want to keep working on your chest. And that should be the areas where you like really put the emphasis on. But outside of that, keep doing what you're doing, and in 10 years, you'll be a monster. You are on the chat. Any questions that you have? That is part of the beauty of the streams, is that I'm able to answer your questions directly. Hi NH, my upper back keeps rounding while squatting heavy or doing range deadlift. How do I fix this? It can be many things. It can be a core weakness. It can be your technique cues that are not on point. It can also be that you are just not built for these lifts. So maybe try other squats and other posterior chain movements and see. You had rest pictures and stuff. Yeah, I use the pictures that were necessary for the critique. I'm not going to include like the catalogs that people send me. How do you request a physique review after donating? You donate and then you just send me a private message with your pictures. Or trap work, grow neck. Depending on the people, yes. Roger C has pretty bad neck posture. The issue with training neck is that if you have bad posture to start with, it can make it worse. So if you train your neck, something that you always want to do, especially if you train the front of the neck, is this. You see that movement here? Where before you start doing your flexions, you tuck so that you reinforce that backward posture so that you don't end up like this, right? I don't know if I can turn like this. Actually, that's pretty comfortable. But from the side, if I move the mic, this is what you want, and this is what you don't want. I have insane posture. Back when I was a kid, or even a young adult, my teachers all remarked on the fact that I was like this in my seat. And it actually got me into one of the best high schools in Paris because I had like an interview with like the what we call a proviseur, who is like the head of the school, and the guy was impressed because we spoke for like an hour and I was like absolutely straight in my chair. So it can get you very far in life. It's sad, but a bad posture communicates all about you. And so you're going to appear lazy, you're going to appear like unkept, when in reality it's not the case. So yeah, again, the way I was taught is you want to think like there's a string that's pulling your head constantly, like upwards, so that you never like start to like collapse on yourself. All right. Next up in the list is going to be Janik. Janik had a very good physique too, if I remember. Yes. And he sent me skinny pictures too. So we're going to start with the skinny pictures. I don't think it's that easy to fix posture. It actually is. Good posture is first and foremost an intention. So you have to have the intention of good posture. Intention of good posture is shoulders pulled back, chin tucked, eyes in front of you. So things that you can do to stop having a bad posture. Stop looking at your phone like this. Stop having your screen when you're on your laptop down, because then you have to look down. You notice that when I talk to you guys, I'm looking in front of me. Why? Because my screen is at high level. Always have your screens at high level. That's one thing. Then you can train good posture. Train your traps. The traps pull the shoulders back. Lots of things. Wow, I think I have a cramp in my foot. It doesn't feel good. Anyways, next up we have Janik. Let me find Janik. Janik. Joseph, Orsfat. Joseph. Where is it? Johnny. Janik. All right. So Janik is also a calisthenics bro. All right. Who is 19, who is a young buck. He's been training for 1 year with calisthenics and 2 years with weight. And he is mostly focused on calisthenics. And he says that he loves my philosophy content, but still no wife. We'll get you a wife. You look good, bro. Okay. And the rest. And then his lifts and stats that I'm going to show later. So let's get you on the big screen, Janik. Up. Perfect. So this was I suppose 16. All right. Again, small as fuck. Just like with Farco that we saw earlier, no one would look at this and say, this kid has great genetics for muscle building. He's good. Absolutely not. People would tell this kid, just give up, you have to be on juice, you're an ectomorph, etc., etc. He's not 11 years old in this picture, okay? He's 16. I hear people all the time make that comparison where they say, oh, well, it's a picture before puberty, it doesn't count. He's done with puberty at this point. Another picture, well, complete absence of muscles. Okay, this is again the toddler tube arm that the ladies go crazy for, not. Again, and very nice plant. I think the plant is actually mugging Janik in this picture. That's how bad it was getting. All right. Then Janik said, you know what? I think I want to get jacked. Let me start calisthenics and lifting weights. Boom. That's 3 years later. Okay? None of this shit was visible in his previous shape. It was impossible to know that he was going to end up looking like this. He's 19. He's getting started. Look at the shoulders. Look at the chest. That's a beautiful fucking physique. All right. I'm going to nitpick the core. Absolutely, I will, because I don't see a six-pack. But he doesn't even have small legs. Right? And he looks very Slavic, but like in a good way. Let me plug my laptop before it turns off. What the fuck did I do? All right, crisis averted. Now, more pictures of Janik. All right, this picture is a slightly worse. We see that he has a wide waist, but we see very good ab genetics. And the legs could be bigger. All right. I like pictures like this because they tell you the true story of the situation. This is a picture in a natural lighting. He's not flexing. He's not pumped. He just went for a swim. If you look like this on the beach, you are, one, going to get a lot of attention from girls. Two, you look better than 99% of people. Okay? I'm going to be a little bit of an ass. What you don't want is to be that guy. That is unacceptable. I do not care how old you are. That's not a good look. All right? None of that, please. Okay, you want to be this guy. All right? And we see the legs are relatively slim. For someone who does calisthenics, not too surprising. Very good lats, very good traps. Neck in line with the jaw. That's the standard. Good shoulders, good chest. Again, I want to see the core being more developed if possible. And we'll talk about the arms in other pictures. Look at that. And I'm not talking about the bulge. This is what I call a lean physique. All right, you're not stage ready, but for anyone's standard, you're lean. And from there, you can go so much higher because you can keep adding mass like here. This is a canvas. It's begging for more mass, and the mass should go in the arms, 100%. The forearms seem to be developed, but they could be bigger. In the legs, 100%. So this is a physique that is torso dominant, that if left alone will become a spider physique. Given enough time, because he has so much potential in the upper back and in the delts, that this is a possibility. We can make sure this doesn't happen by adding isolation right now for the arms and hitting the legs hard. After this, looking at the rest of the body for Janik. But this picture is horrible because of the lighting. I don't know why I included that. Okay, that's a slightly better picture. The chest is also lagging behind a bit. Why? Because look at the shoulders. Unfortunately, when you have two muscles who compete for stimulus and activation on similar movements, aka presses, the one that is dominant will always remain dominant. So if you want to build up that chest without the shoulders stealing the work, you have to find movements that are going to take the shoulders out of the equation, aka flies, aka ring push-ups. All of that will work. So Janik, I hope that this is what you focus on. Your calisthenics bro, dips. If you can find a way to not have your shoulders take over. And talking about dips, there you are doing dips. So we see that your forearms are veiny, but it's a bit of a trick. They're not that big. They can be bigger. Your triceps can be bigger. All right. Again, this is someone who's been training for 3 years. right? That's a cool picture. We see that your lats are developed, your chest, and here I think it's a good angle to see that the chest is lagging and that the biceps could be bigger. All right, that's the back relaxed. So all bit blurry, but we see good traps. We see good erectors. We see that the waist could be tighter, but you do what you do with what you have. And yeah, more lats, and then just the arms. Because if this keeps getting bigger and it's attached to spaghettis, it's not going to look good. So we see back/torso dominance, unsurprisingly. And that's a good picture from the front. And since your legs are raised, your abs should be absolutely shredded. I should see striations in this shit, and I don't. So do more of that. But that was Janik. Now I'm going to leave you on that picture, and I'm going to read you his stats. So he's 5'7", and he's 71 kilograms. Someone in the chat says the pictures look edited. They're not. I check every single picture for Photoshop. He has a 78 centimeter waist, so fairly big. He has a 100 kilogram high bar squat for 10, 150 kilogram deadlift, 100 kilo RDL, 85 kilo bench, which are by all means novice numbers, early intermediate numbers, if you want to go by strength standards, which I don't like. But what I see is someone who has potential to keep growing. 21 pull-ups. I really hope you're doing weighted pull-ups. Please just don't do bodyweight pull-ups, okay? Weighted calisthenics is the way to go. But the rest are like decently strong numbers, but nowhere near where he will be in the future. So that's it. Janek, that's all of the information that I have for you. Now, you tell me that you also want to focus on like athleticism and function, which you understand pisses me off to read this. But do what you have to do. Just keep in mind the areas that I just told you to focus on. So chest, core, arms, and legs. This is where your focus should go. Okay. Are you guys inspired? You better be. Are we getting inspired here? How many people do we have left? Yeah. Raz, you're at the end of the list. So I'm going to have, is there a limit to arm volume? How much can you recover from? All right. So I'm going to have to speed up a bit. So I'm in go mode now. The next one is Johnny with 2 N's. And Johnny, up. All right. So Johnny, I think, sent me a collage, which I always enjoy. No. So we're going to start with Johnny at his start, right? Before he started actually focusing on hypertrophy. Ah, non, c'est celle-là que je veux partager, s'il vous plaît. Hop. Okay, share. So Johnny looks absolutely cool. He looks absolutely chatty as fuck. But that was his beginning. That was before lifting. That was when he was an athlete. And a lot of people would look at this and say, that's already aesthetic enough for me. Thank you very much. I will stay like this for the rest of my life. This is what I call the auto mode physique. It's very tempting to do that because you look aesthetic, you are attractive to girls, you are lean, you feel good. Okay. Most likely, if you want to go to the next level and have a bodybuilder physique, you're going to have to go through what I call an awkward phase. Because from here, you have to bulk. Right? You're going to have a very tough time adding weight and muscle mass on your frame if you don't. It's possible, but it's subpar. The experience is not going to be fun. So you're going to have to bulk. When you bulk, what will happen? Some of these aesthetics. And this might be the result. Now, how many people would look at this and say, wow, what a waste. He fell for the lifting meme. He looks worse now. That's a mistake. He has so much more muscle here, but he's not as lean and the lighting is not as good. This is what I call an awkward phase. Now, this picture in particular, like Johnny, if you're watching this, I salute you because you sent me a picture that is not flattering. I couldn't tell you the amount of times I took pictures where I look like this. Why? Poor lighting, poor pump, poor posing, frame of reference is garbage. This is not a good look, but at least it's honest. At least I can judge based on that. So what do I see? The neck is good. It's in line with the jaw. Nothing to say here. The shoulders appear okay. We're talking about proportions here. The chest is lagging behind the shoulders. So horizontal presses should take the emphasis. The arms are small, not gonna lie, but they are developing in harmony. So they just need to keep growing the way they're growing. Your core needs work, 100%. This is, again, a horrible picture. So thank you for sending it to me, because many people will only send me their good pictures. Okay? This is the same person. All right? This is with a better light, with taking a picture of you in a mirror, which for some reason makes you look better. I've never understood why. So I see that the tricep is actually quite decent. It's not horrible. It's not big by any means, but it's decent. Okay, let's go through this again. So now we have poses at the gym. All right, as I suspected, your triceps and your shoulders are going to be what is going to take the accent. So it's going to grow first. The arms already look much better here. So I'm going to keep that in mind for the thing that I'm going to tell you to at the end of this little review. Okay. An honest front double bicep. Complete lack of muscularity. This is the funny part. If we go back to that picture, people are like, oh my God, shredded six pack, amazing. This is not a six pack. This is a skinny pack. It's not the same. There's no muscle here. It's just called being lean. If you have this only when you're very, very low body weight, you don't have abs and you need to focus on them. So, Johnny, please isolate your abs, right? It might take a year, 2 years, 3 years. Keep doing it. I don't care if they don't show. They have to grow. The lats are okay. The chest is really the part that I want you to focus on. Okay, we see that from the side chest. This should not be called a side chest, it should be called a side shoulder, because I don't even see your chest. All right, this is Johnny at the end of his bulk. Right. Realistically, you probably took it a bit too far. Why? Because I see a shit ton of fat around your waist, and that's just not needed. When you start to spill over your pants, you know you fucked up. You fell for the bulking meme. You bulked way too fast, way too hard. Unneeded. On top of that, and I'm just going to say it, I'm sorry if it's mean, your skin quality is garbage in this picture, most likely from the bulk. So do not fall for the bulking meme, please. It was perfectly possible to go from the picture where he looks shredded to a bigger, better physique without getting so much weight. It's unneeded. All right, that's better. That's at the end of a cut. Again, some people would say you have to bulk hard to get to this. Bull fucking shit. The only thing a hard bulk does is that now you have to lose more weight. On top of that, Johnny can thank his lucky star that his waist stays tight. Some people never recover from a dirty bulk because they get these fucking love handles forever. But that is a solid back double bi. The triceps, as I said, are pretty good. The biceps is where it's lacking. The traps are okay, the lats are okay, and I can see that your Christmas tree is going to be pretty fucking savage in the future. So I don't need to tell you to focus on that. Okay? This is the difference between taking a picture with a pump in a good lighting. Here, this is the exact same man who was in his living room looking like an absolute, like, I don't know, like gremlin. Look at him now. He looks so much better. Yeah, but again, I want that bicep to get bigger. The shoulders are already there. And that is the last picture I have of you, Johnny. So I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to go and read what you sent me for additional context. So he has been bodybuilding for 1.5 years, aka he started yesterday, and he was into track and field before. So that's the picture that we saw when he was very aesthetic. And he used to train a lot and spend a lot of calories. Does he talk about the bulk? he says he's been neglecting neck, abs, and forearms. Your neck is already where it should be. You don't need to isolate it. Abs, absolutely, please start now. Stop not doing it. And you're going to the gym 3 or 4 times. And then he bulked in 2024 aggressively and dirty, so not productive at all. And then you did a cut. Okay, don't make that mistake again. Do a slow bulk from this point on. And when it comes to muscles I want you to focus on, you want to focus on chest, biceps, and abs. The rest, train as you have. You're going to keep growing. You started training a year ago. But if you don't want to end up with a bird chest and shoulders that overpower it, chest, abs, because you can never have enough abs, and then biceps. Forearms, of course, is a given. So that was for you, Johnny. All right, next up, we have Justin. Oh, and Justin had a physique that looked a lot like mine. We could almost be twins. We actually look very similar. So let me find you in my list. Justin, up. And he also sent me a collage. I love collages. All right, so here and then here. Justin, who has the epitome of what I call a bear physique. Can I get a round of applause for how good I am with technology? And to think that some people used to call me a boomer. Shame on you guys. Boom. A bear. Which one would women pick between the bear and the man? This bear. So we see lots of traps. We see good chest. Some ab development. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The guy is high body fat. And he has abs. You can see the abs. So that's good. The arms are pretty thick, right? He doesn't have that like Hippo mode where you have like a huge trunk with a ton of fat and no abs and no arms. That's a bulk right there. This is like peak range. This is peak bulk. It is perfectly fine to look like this for the rest of your life. If you're not into the shredded life and you want to be huge and a bear, go for that. Right? This is how it's done. So what does Justin have to say? I think he didn't send me much. He also has a cat as a profile picture. Oh yeah, Justin sent me his lifts. Right? So I know exactly how much he can lift. At the end of this entire thing, I'm going to ask you guys how much do you think the guy can lift, and we're going to see if you come even close to his numbers. All right, so let's focus on the rest of the picture. So that's the back. First thing I look at when a guy is bulked up, I look at the waist. The waist, yes, has fat on it. Of course it does. But who gives a fuck? Who's going to look down? He has a big upper back. He has big lats. The traps could be bigger, Justin, so you could focus on that. He has good shoulders. Yeah, he doesn't have definition. Who gives a fuck? All right. This is someone who is front dominant, right? By a bit. But still, we see the lats, big biceps, love the haircut. He has a huge jawline. He has a huge neck, right? You can pull off high body fat if you have that type of frame. I would say that for people like Justin, for people like myself, who have a wide waist, trying to go for the shredded look is not going to work. Why? Because our structure sucks ass. So if your structure is beautiful, yeah, you want to have as little fat as possible on it to show it to the world. But if your structure is horrible for bodybuilding, hide it. Pack on as much mass as possible. All right, more biceps. And this is what I mean when I say, if you bulk up your upper body enough, no one will notice that you have a large waist because the waist doesn't look that big here. You should be careful though, because this person is stealing your barbell, or they're doing like an impossibly difficult like forearm lift from this angle, and they're actually the world's strongest man. Okay. Pictures after your shower. Good. Look at the thickness of the neck and the traps. This is really what makes the physique, by the way. It's the yoke. If you shrink the chest and you shrink the shoulders and traps a bit, he would look fat. But he's not fat. Also, when you have this going on, I have it too. Like, brother, I'm not shaming you. When you have this going on, isolate your obliques as much as fucking possible. Your waist is already big. Might as well make it look freaky. All right, another very good picture. He has a V, even though he is high body fat, so that's great. Yeah, it's funny how taking shitty pictures with a shitty camera quality tends to make you look bigger. I like that picture that he sent me, comparing himself to a statue. Always a good inspiration. Now, he named it mugging, as in I am mugging the statue. I'm going to go against that and say that I think the statue is mugging you. One, it doesn't have a nose. That's one. Two, it has larger shoulders than you. And it has also straight clavicles. And your clavicles are sloped. So not a bad look, but you still have some work to do to catch up to the statue. The chest is also better on the statue. They have better developed obliques. I think you should chase that statue a little bit more. And I think that the arms of the statue are bigger. I think the only thing that is really similar is the neck and the shoulders. Yeah, you're right. It also doesn't have a nose. Okay, point taken. I take away the nose comment. Okay. Very honest, most muscular. I don't know what these tattoos mean, but they make me uncomfortable. Am I going to get cancelled because the guy is like part of a paramilitary group? Please tell me that these are just innocuous. Okay. Oh, love it. So a picture in nature. I love these pictures because they're always honest. It's very hard to cheat with natural lighting. So the traps are humongous. The chest is humongous. So everything like the yoke and what we call the shelf, I don't have much to say about that. I think that your focus should be on the lats, should be on the upper back in general, not just the upper traps. Your shoulders are where they should be, and then you should build up these arms because anyone who's watched Fullmetal Alchemist and knows who Izumi Kaltis's husband is knows that what looks tremendous on a bear mode physique is massive arms. You are like borderline on the spider arm physique. So you really need to put the accent on biceps, triceps, and forearms as much as possible. I want to see veins. We are at the same body fat percentage, more or less. I'm much more vascular than you are. So I want to see that. I know it's possible. Also, I think that this person is stealing a tree. I think we should check on that. They look like a ninja. What the fuck is that? Anyways. Okay. For all of you guys who are like, what physiques do women like? This. Like, I shit you not, the amount of women that I know who like this physique is much higher than the amount of women that I know who like the shredded physique. They don't care for it much. Okay? On top of that, it's a physique that is easy to maintain. You're going to feel good. You're going to be able to eat as much as you want. It's the fucking life. All right? Don't let people like sell you these dreams of aesthetics that women are going to be all over you. It's not true. One, because you're going to be wearing clothes most of the time. And you look better when you're a bit bulkier in clothes, unless you are on steroids. So Justin, good job. I don't know if that's your girlfriend. If it is, tremendous. And then we have the transformation. So this is very interesting. I didn't even look at it. This is what Justin started in October of 2022. Right. Who would look at this and say, oh yeah, he's totally going to end up like looking like a bear? That's the average fat guy. Like that is your run-of-the-mill fat guy who eats at McDonald's. I see guys like this every day of my life. Okay? And then look at the transformation. Slow and steady. Okay? There's no crazy jumps. He just slowly but surely chipped away at the statue. And look at the difference between October 2022 and January 2023. Same shoulders. Okay, this is the same human being. Look how much wider he looks once he dropped the fat. It's night and day. Okay, and look at his face. Like he's hiding his face in the first pictures, and I think we know why. Because he looked like a chub. Look at the jawline, the way it comes in. Right now, if we look at the transformation, in my opinion, he overdid it a bit, where around these parts, he started to be too skinny. He started to lose too much weight, and that was simply not needed. He should have stopped here. February 2023 was the perfect time to start a lean bulk. He wanted to cut more. The thing is that if you look honestly, like at February 2023 and August 2023, it's like more or less the same physique, more or less, with less hair. So that's also the mistake that many people who are very fat do. They want to lose too much weight. Once you get to a point where you're under control, start bulking again. And then he enters. So here at 180 pounds, a little bit skinny for his frame, the Tyler Durden maxing. But then, fuck that, I'm actually going to get jacked out of my mind. And he bulked. And what did he do? Bulking doesn't work. Okay, look at this picture and look at this picture. Look at how much mass he was able to pack on his traps, arms, and delts and chest. It's a different human being. There's a difference between the two of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. That's what a good, solid, conservative bulk can do for you. But we see that this is someone who did a cut and then did cycles of bulking and maintaining, which is smart as fuck and what I'm currently doing. And then we see that the physique starts to improve slowly but surely. He's making progress. He's making slow progress, but at his level of size, that's perfectly normal. And now he is 216. Now, Justin, you're at a point where you're at a crossroads. I honestly don't think that keeping on adding just raw pounds on your frame is going to do anything for you. You're just going to add fat. I think you are a perfect candidate for a long recomp. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Once you solidify yourself at 210, then we can get you bulking again. Maybe that's already something you're going to do. And then in the areas where I want you to focus on, biceps, triceps, forearms, core. That's your game. Right? Chest, shoulder straps, you've already done it. Do we have other pictures? So that's when he's relaxed. You don't show me your legs. I would like to see your legs. I hope that your legs are big. Bear mode comes with big legs, but we see here that the shoulders are crazy. Also, you're stealing my hair, and I don't appreciate it because it looks better on you than it looks on me, so not cool. Okay, and crazy shoulders. How many people would look at this and say, oh, he has acne, so it must be PEDs? No, it's called bulking. All right, side chest. Okay. So that's it, Justin. Great physique. Keep doing it. You're on the path. Oh, yeah. His lifts. All right. So how much do you think this beefcake can lift? How much do you think? I'm very curious to hear. I'm looking at the chat. Okay, someone says 315 for bench, 330 bench, 405 bench. Okay, benches 350. All right, the lifts that I have in front of my eyes are bench, squat, remaining deadlift, and overhead press. How much do you think? 220 overhead press. Okay, deadlifts 550. 275 bench. Okay. So you guys are like, okay, he's big and he's pretty heavy. He's 216 in this picture. He must be strong. All right. Justin, in this picture, benches 205. That is not kilograms. It's 205 pounds. He squats 250. He remaining deadlifts 275. And he can overhead press 145. Look at his delts. How many people would tell you, oh, you need 225 overhead press to get these delts? No. Because strength doesn't equal size. Strength standards, for the most part, are stupid because they depend on the individual. This is someone whose ratio of size versus strength is skewed towards size. I'm the exact same way. Looking at this and being like, oh, this guy must focus on strength. No, nonsense, because he looks like this without focusing on strength. What he should focus on is performance. The way forward for Justin is getting his performance up. But if he looks like this with a 205 bench, how much do you think he's going to look like? How much do you think he's going to gain from benching 3 plates? There's a chance he's never going to be bench 3 plates in his life, and it doesn't really matter. Just a little rant, but when I saw these numbers, this is what it made me think of. Okay, so that was for Justin. How he gets like this with all strength? Because he might be someone who started benching 115. And when he got to 205, that's already an increase of 100 pounds. So it's all related. So for example, like someone asked my numbers. Currently, like with my physique, I'm 220. I'm doing squats with, so if I do a high bar squat, because all people think about is the high bar squat, high bar squat 540, 450, sorry, 450 for 3. Most of my sets of squats I do with 300 pounds, like in the range of 300 to 400. Most of my pulls and posterior chain movements, like the RDL, I do between 430 and 550. You see these numbers, they're not crazy, but they perform. They skew up. There's a tendency to go up. That's what we need. The absolute raw number I'm lifting right now is less important than the number I will be lifting in 6 months. Anyways, so that was Justin. Next, we're going to do Lorenzo. And Lorenzo didn't send me much, but we're going to start with his transformation because that's always inspiring. Up. So we have Lorenzo. And Lorenzo is the typical case of someone who started skinny fat and who managed to make a good transition to a not skinny, but base physique that he's going to be able to build from. Honestly, this on the left is horrible. No one is going to like say anything about that. Shit ton of fat around the waist, around the chest. It is disgusting. But he did what all skinny fats don't manage to do, which is to turn into just skinny/normal. Oftentimes, this will not be done with a cut. Oftentimes, this will be done with a recomp. Now, let me go check Lorenzo and see if he gave me information on how he did it, because that's always very interesting. Lorenzo. So, Lorenzo tells me, here is the picture of me at starting point. It's something I'm deeply ashamed of, and that's why it's the censored one. On the right, so sorry, on the left is me in 2018, and on the left is me in 2021. Lorenzo, you should not be ashamed. What you were is no longer what you are. Your transformation is amazing. He doesn't include whether or not he cut to get that. I would think that he did. He trained for 2 years. He sent me his program a while ago, and it ended up being a good program. But this is essentially someone who is, by all metrics, a beginner. Let's look at the physique of someone who recovered from skinny fat and what I would recommend. Okay. So already, you have a good neck. That's great. You did not end up with a bird neck. You don't necessarily need to train it more. It's already in line with your jawline. The shoulders always like catch my eye because I still have potential for size here and development. Front delt, side delt, rear delt, they're all pretty small. Your tricep is fairly developed. The chest is fairly developed. So you might be the type of person who is chest dominant. We'll see if this actually comes to fruition when we see other pictures. There's a toilet in the background for some reason. And your legs are small, straight up small. Okay. All right. So you seem to have good structure. Interesting. I don't know if this is a glitch of the camera, but there's a weird little thingy here. I'm not saying this is photoshopped. It just might be the camera. So the chest is bigger than the shoulders. The abs they're crying for development. From the front, I second what I said about the neck. You have a thin, long face, and your neck is in line with that. The traps could be brought up. Okay, from the back, we see again that the legs need work, especially the posterior chain. You seem to be someone who has long legs and a short torso. And if I were to like zoom in and I show you that upper back, and then I go down and I show you that lower body, you would say that is the lower body of someone who's never trained. And that is the upper body of someone who's trained for 2-3 years. So that's something to keep in mind. You're going to have to be much more diligent on your lower body. that back double by also teaches us a lot about your build. You have good shoulders. All right, the chest is still better, but compared to the arms, you absolutely have to put the emphasis on the arms. So you're the type of person who has to be limb obsessed because your back is already pretty good. Okay, this is a very good pose for you. All right, as I said, the neck can be left alone. It's great. I want the traps to match it. So you need to focus on traps. All right. Looking back, the lats are better than the traps. So traps should be your focus. Your chest is great. The arms and the core need to be developed. Okay. We see here again, very good core, by the way, to wear flip-flops in the gym so as not to get mycosis. Arms need to be bigger. Yep. So we see here that you have long insertions, both for your biceps and for your triceps. And that is a blessing and a curse because it means that you have great potential for size, but that in their current state, they look small because they're stretched. And that is your back again. So I think this is the second picture that I took to show you that, Lorenzo, you are someone who is back dominant. Because these two don't match. Like your back double by is so much better than your front double by. So going forward, focus on your leg development, focus on ab isolation, focus on your arms. This should be what you do going forward. And did you send me additional information? I think you're in the chat. Yeah, that's pretty much what you have. And when I look at your numbers, I see good mornings, 50 kilograms times 15. First and foremost is a weird rep range for the good morning. 2, it's very, very weak. So I'm not surprised that your legs are that small. It's fine. Just keep improving. You have a 100 kilogram squat. For some reason, you have a 160 kilograms deadlift. Maybe stop doing that lift entirely. It's not going to get you anywhere. You're not the type of person who is going to get jacked. You don't have the proportions to get jacked out of deadlifts. Do your posterior chain, but just not deadlifts. Okay. Lorenzo, do you have any questions for me in the chat? Because I think I saw your name. How do I know if I have small muscles or too big body fat? If you're high body fat, that's already something that should be taken care of. Okay, you're happy with the review. Excellent. That's what I want to hear. Because it's not just for the people who are going to watch the stream as an entertainment. It's also the people who request reviews. Again, if you want reviews, you go on the coffee page, you pledge a membership, regardless of the membership. I don't care. It's just to give you access to the private messages or a $10 donation. And then you send me your pictures. And the physique reviews are very, very useful for you guys. Spoiler, I'm currently working on creating services that I'm going to make available for you guys so that I can keep doing that, I can keep helping you and be connected with you guys. Okay, let's keep going. Next one is Luther. Are the written reviews better? I wouldn't say better, they're longer and you can access them forever. So it's easier for you to review, whereas the people reviewed on stream, well, they get the excitement of the stream, but it might be harder to listen to the advice. How do you send your pics? Coffee page. It's in the description. It's in the pinned comments. Okay, so we have Luther. And Luther is interesting because he's our first very tall guy of today's session. And you're going to understand, the stream video is always there. Yes. You're going to understand what I mean when I say the taller you are, the harder it is to get big. So we're going to start with him when he was skinny. I'm going to share that with you guys. Up, 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 and share. Okay. So there. All right. Looking at this, you can see that this is someone who is quite lanky, who is quite long. That is unsurprising because if I go and I check his stats, Luther is 188 centimeters. So he is 6'3". And in this picture, he's 92 kilograms, which is 200 pounds. How many of you guys would have guessed that based on this picture? He is heavy as fuck, but he's so long, he's so tall that it's simply not enough. If you're a guy and you're 6'2", you are most likely going to be in the range of like 220, 240, 250 once you really get to your like peak potential. Okay, so let's see. So that was when he was skinny. Honestly, already pretty decent arms. Look at that back, right? This is the back of a tall guy. So much real estate, so much space for muscle. Look at the long arms. No one would guess this is someone who's 90 kilograms. This is the curse of the tall lifter. Then this is him after a bulk, right? When you're tall, it's not impossible, but it's hard to bulk too much. I think that this is perfectly fine. If you're tall, to bulk into these like body fat territories is perfectly fine. If I go into the conversation that he had for me, he started 3 years ago and he started at 75 kilograms and he went from 75 kilograms to 95 kilograms in 3 years. It's aggressive, but when you're tall, you can somewhat justify it. I think it's part of the population that can justify it. Okay. All right. So a most muscular from the front. You see that he filled up his frame, which is what we want when we're tall. Rooster has pretty good legs, which is great when you're tall. This is a blessing when you're tall. He has good arms. The biceps already struck me when he was skinny as an area that was going to get big because his insertions are pretty short. So they are bulgy. The forearms are actually pretty good. Good traps. The shoulders is where it's at. This is going to be a game of shoulders for you going forward, Rooster. This is where you're going to have to focus most of your efforts on. Biceps. Honestly, you are probably very gifted in the bicep department, and your biceps look very similar to mine. Extremely similar to mine. This, whatever you're doing for this, keep doing this, because it's clearly working, okay? And since we are very similar in terms of predispositions for muscle building, I'm going to be able to give you amazing advice. All right. You're like me. You have the same shoulder shape that I have, and you have the same bicep dominance. So for you, what you will need to do is put the emphasis on vertical presses that you connect with, that you can progress with. Insist on shoulder isolation, especially for the side delt. Lateral raises should become your next best friend, with a cable if possible, with a cuff if possible. Your chest is not that dominant compared to how quote-unquote small your shoulders are. So it can also be an area that you focus on. Your traps are very, very good. That can be an issue because guys like you have a tendency when they do lateral raises to raise their shoulders up to aid with the movement, which recruits the traps. That's going to be something that you're going to have to look at going forward. Okay, now we see the back, and this is the back after the bulk. So there is 20 kilograms of extra mass on that back, and it still looks small. There are two reasons for that. One, your insertions. You have a lot of erectors, and they're very visible, but the lats and everything are very high up. And since you already have long legs and you're tall, this means that you're really going to have to focus on this. So going forward, focus on shoulders, focus on back. Right? You have good traps, more lats, and more overall upper back. Pulls are going to be your best friend. Let me see if you have anything added to the coffee that is actually relevant. If I look at your lifts, you can squat 3 plates, you deadlift around 180 kilos, which you're not the type of person who's going to get much out of deadlifts. So maybe pivot, find something else to do. In terms of whether you should keep bulking or not, you are at 92 kilograms and you should either maintain or keep bulking. You could maintain if you wanted to correct the areas that I pointed. And once you are really like getting the ball rolling and you want to like kickstart your performance, you can start bulking again for the shoulders. Okay. And you say you're purely bodybuilding. You wrote me a program that looks like a love letter from my sweetheart from World War II. So that's going to be complex to read. But yeah, And that is very, very good. That is all you have to know. So Luther, if you want to stick to bodybuilding, you're going to be in for the long one because you have potential for size. It's just going to take you longer than other people. Okay. Excellent. Next, we have Mohammed, who sent me a gazillion pictures, but we're going to... Okay, so which one should I do? Should I start with the pictures of him before or after? I think that because we've already done a ton of transformation before, we're going to start with after, and then I'm going to show you what he used to look like. And you're going to be beyond shocked. Do you do reviews offline? Yes, you can get a written review on the coffee page. Pledge or donate $10. Okay, let's do Mohammed. Up. So, here is someone who has a very aesthetic physique, quite lean, who has long clavicles. If you have a good eye, you should already be able to tell that he used to be fat. The reason why I know this for a fact is, one, the position of the nipple, as fucked up as it is, when you used to be fat and you lose the weight, the nipple sort of slopes downward, and lower abdomen, where you can see loose skin. Frankly, it doesn't impede his aesthetics that much. You see good chest insertions, you see very good shoulders, you see long lats, long traps, sorry. That's a great physique. Insane legs, frankly, very good legs. I like that picture. This is why I added it. One, for what's written on the shirt. Two, because of the arms. Very good arm genetics. They're very developed and very bulky. And I feel like that type of tank top really re-puts the emphasis on the arms and the structure of the torso. So it's a good look for people who are built like this. Right. Then we have the back. So that's a good back. Not much fat on the waist at all. A very good development of the teres major. The real delt is also pretty good. The body fat is... This is someone who clearly stores a lot of fat in their back. So this is why it's much less defined than the front. But this is also the sign that if you think back, if you used to be on the stream for a while, think back to Barbarian and his back. This is what we're talking about. There is so much potential for hypertrophy in that region that oftentimes I find that people who store the fat in their back should be focusing on building it up rather than trying to cut to lose the fat. Okay, we see another arm. So here, bicep dominance, forearm dominance. Your triceps is what are going to need work. But Mohammed, my friend, I'm going to focus on the big reveal of what you used to look like. I'm going to give you information and advice on where you should go forward afterwards. I just want people to be absolutely shocked. And I don't know which picture it's going to be. It's just going to sneak up on us. So we see again here that the chest has the good insertions. It could be bigger. Your shoulders are actually a bit further ahead. So you might be a good example of someone who is limb dominant as opposed to torso dominant. More of that shoulder and of that bicep. Boom. Holy fuck. He used to be morbidly obese. Like, this is not someone who was chubby. This is not someone who had a dad bod. He was on his way to an early grave. This is the same person. Okay, the same body. Look at this insane transformation. Like, this is to encourage every single one of you guys watching who might be fat and who say there's no point. Even if I lose the fat, I look like shit. You don't know that. You are hiding the potential of your body under layers and layers of blubber. Lose the fucking fat. It's going to make you healthier. It's also going to allow you to see what you actually are underneath. Look at this. Okay, Mohammed, you sent me the pictures. You're fine with me like pointing it out. You are like dying. That's like that's just not just fat. It's crazy. And the difference in facial aesthetics between this, where we don't see any of your facial features, and like here, this is a handsome man. This is a good-looking man. This is a guy who's going to be popular with the ladies. Who thought that this was hiding under that moon face? No one. But yeah, so just like peak fucking fatness with a lot of fat stored in the chest, which I understand why you ended up with some deformation in the area, is because, well, when you get that fat, unfortunately, you stretch your body in ways that it's not supposed to be stretched. But yeah, so I'll show that later, but that was for the transformation. Now for my advice for you. So put the emphasis on the back, right? You are front dominant by virtue of your body fat disposition. I want to see a strong focus on vertical and horizontal pulls. In terms of the front, your biceps are already there, right? Keep doing whatever you're doing for them. Focusing a little bit more on your presses, especially horizontal presses, is going to be the thing that you want to do. Your shoulders are already where they're supposed to be. Your abs are pretty great, right? You have loose skin. There's nothing we can do about that. Keep training them however you are training them. But for you, back. You're not in need of any additional advice for legs. They seem to be big, maybe because from where you're fat, maybe because of the way you are training them. So that's my advice for you, Mohammed. And now I'm going to show the gym that he trains in, because he sent me pictures of his gym. So that's always pretty cool. So that used to be his old setup. I like the old picture of the tiger. And then his new setup. I like the neon. I think the purple looks pretty cool. It reminds me of Alex Leonidas. It looks like his gym. But that's a very compact setup. I have no idea who that guy is. So that's that. Oh, actually, there's more pictures. Well, I think it's pictures that I've already seen where we see that indeed you are arm and shoulder dominant, that the legs don't need to go anywhere. They're already there. You have quads and you have wheels for days. Yeah. And we see that's actually a very good picture, because this is the transition. This is what Moha used to look like after he lost a lot of the fat. Look at these crazy love handles. Look at the chest. Right? What really transformed him is not just fat loss, it's muscle building. Fat loss is 50% of the fight. And the good thing too is that if you lift weights and you build muscle as you lose the fat, your skin is going to stay firmer, you're going to have less stretch marks, and your physique at the end is going to be better. So that is that. Thank you for your entry, Moha. Yeah, insane legs. Well, that's, in a sense, that's the upside of being fat for so long. And if you guys want information, I think he told me that. Okay. He sent me a lot of messages. Okay. So he says, after being a fat fuck all my life, I decided to get my shit together and stop being fat and depressed. And I was in 2021. So he did this crazy transformation in give or take 3 years. And he did that by walking and doing intermittent fasting, and he lost 25 kilograms. And this is when he started lifting weights, which was a tremendous choice, because if he had waited more, his physique would not be as good. So he's been essentially training for 3 years. So that's someone who had tremendous genetic potential for size, but just never saw it because he was fat as fuck. And he is 23-year-old. He is 5'9", and right now, I don't know if he told me his weight. He's 80 kilograms. So he lost 40 kilograms for when he was obese, and now he is sitting at 80 with a pretty good body composition. So, bro, going forward, you can keep recamping, or you can bulk if you're not afraid of gaining the weight back. I know a lot of people who used to be fat are afraid. And his legs measure 25 inches, which at 5'9" is quite enormous. And the arms, 15. So 16 inches arms and 25 inches legs is pretty balanced. What I want to see improve is the chest and the back. Yeah, and this is his first real bulk. So the fact that you're already able to like bulk after all of that is already a great sign that you're not too fucked up from the past. Okay. He said he was 25. 23? 23. All right. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 people left. And the next one is Naz. I don't know if you're on the chat, Naz. Your name in French means bad or sucky with an E. Okay. Naz. Oh, Naz also has a very good physique. So, let's get to Naz. Up. Up. Ah, Naz, you're here. Let's do it. Share screen. Okay. We're going to strongest body parts. Now, I'm going to go easy on you. You have a very, very good back. You also have a brand of sacrifice. Maybe not a smart choice. So this is sort of the trend that we've seen today with men who have decently large waists, but because they have a wide back, it's fine, right? It makes up for it. So you're pretty fucking wide. I see excellent shoulder development. I see very good lats. Your traps could use some work. And by could use some work, I should say could use a lot of work. This should be your focus for the back. I don't know if you're back dominant. We'll see that soon. The biceps look okay from the back. It's just that they're getting mugged by the shoulders. Okay, from the front. Again, no pump and natty lighting. I love that. Okay. So we see a very good chest. I would be very surprised if in other pictures I see that the chest is not dominant. We see good abdominal development. We see good shoulders. We see somewhat lagging traps, although one could infer that it's because of their insertions. They seem to be inserted very, very high on the clavicle. And the legs seem decent too. I hope that you have included leg pictures. So based on this alone, I would say already focus on traps, focus on arms. Biceps, forearms, triceps. Okay, more of that tricky back. This is a perfect picture to exemplify what I mean. Look at the structure of the body. Look at the width of the shoulders. There is something quite shocking here. That divot right here. That divot is caused by one thing and one thing only. It's lack of hypertrophy in the lats. Please, Naz, try to visualize what would happen if instead of being here, that line was here, slightly higher, because you bulked up those straps. You would look amazing. You would have a back that looks like an inverted triangle. So that's what I want you to focus on. And from the back, imagine even more triceps from that pose. It would be amazing. Okay. So the legs are there. Like you got quads for days. They look like croissants. It's making me a little bit hungry. But see, this is what I mean. Where look at the legs and then look at the arms. It always is striking when there is a big difference in size between your lower limb and your upper limb. So this is why I think that for you, focusing on arms is better. And in a shirt, we can really see that these traps are lagging. Because look at how much your chest bulges out and how non-existent your traps are. Now, if we're talking about like legs, you have crazy outer quads. Maybe focusing a bit more on the VMO and on the adductors would be a good idea if you want complete legs. All right. So a side pose that we see, as I expected, you have a very good chest. You have lagging traps. Your core is okay. Good triceps, although I don't know if you're cheating by pushing with your lats, but still can be bigger. You're lucky in that your shoulders are not that small compared to your chest, so you can keep growing the two together. Okay, very good pose, and we see again the shoulders are great. For you, chest and shoulders is really your strong point. Chest, shoulders, and shoulder width in general. And you have a very good neck too. And it's in line with the jaw. It's just that his jaw is tilted outward. And you have a good jawline as well. Okay. Okay, we see a little bit more of the trap here, but I think it could be bigger. And that is the last picture. So you're in the chat, Naz. First and foremost, I'm going to go and see what you told me if I have information that's relevant for the chat. So Naz is 21. So you're young. You're so young. And you have a lot of potential. And you started training when? When did you start training? Did you tell me? Oh, so you've been lifting consistently for 3 years. Well, for 3 years, that's an excellent physique. You're 5'8", and you're 170 pounds. So the perfect height. And realistically, you are the type of person who I can totally see being 180, 185, still being lean. And in terms of weak point, as I said, focus on developing your arms, focus on developing your traps. That is what you should be doing. And if you have any questions, Naz, if you're in the chat, let me know. No questions? If no questions, we can continue. Next one is Om. And you're going to see when you see his physique, he should make you think of someone. He should immediately remind you of someone. Because the second I saw his body, I was like, damn, I think I know that guy. All right, so let's start. Boom. Okay. And I'm going to be very severe with you, because you have a very good physique. So I'm going to make sure that you live up to your potential. Okay. Oop. Okay. So we have right there. So this is the best picture. It's a blurry picture, but we can see that we are dealing with someone who has good triceps. Now, the picture that I was thinking about when I said it should immediately make you think of someone is this one. Who am I thinking of? Yeah, it's fucking Bold Man, dude. The same biceps insertions, like the same frame. It's crazy. You're like a smaller version of him. Because if I go into the information that you sent me, you told me. Oh, and you actually sent me pictures when you were younger. I'm actually going to include these if I can. I'll do it afterwards. Please remind me. Okay. Okay, so you sent me the pictures, but did you send me the... So he is 19. Okay, Home is 19, and he's currently 5'7", 185. Okay, let's keep that in mind as we go through the review. So, based on that picture, it's hard to say because the picture is so freaky. Let's use another picture. Okay. Well, this picture is just as freaky. What the fuck am I supposed to do with this? So you have tremendous shoulders. The forearms look wide as fuck from the front. You have very good biceps. I want other angles of the chest. You send me a gazillion pictures, so that's okay. I want to see if maybe I can nitpick the chest. But you're very vascular. And it's not like you're small. It's not like you're like very lean and very small. For your height and your weight, you have a lot of muscle on your frame. You have a great core, great six-pack. Okay, the legs, you have good legs too. Jesus, give me something to walk with. Like what to me always attracts the eye with your physique is like these shoulders, where you have a clear like divot between the start of the traps and the shoulder, like the muscle of the shoulder itself, which looks amazing. Okay, so from the back we can see that this is not the best shot of the hamstrings. I would suspect that maybe the posterior chain is not as developed as it should be, and that could be because of your proportions. The real delts are popping, and maybe the traps could be nitpicked a bit. I think maybe the traps, especially the upper traps, could be bigger, but the arms from that angle are very rounded. The forearms are very rounded. You have a huge neck, and this is what I mean when I say big forearms. Jesus, your insertions are insane. Like your forearms insert directly into the wrist. Like they insert right here. Most people, that part of the forearm will insert around here. So like much lower on the arm. So you have insane potential for size in the area. Okay, more crazy flex. Yeah, from that picture, like I honestly think that your shoulders could be bigger. I think that based on how much mass you have in your upper arms and your forearms, you could get the shoulder and the traps bigger and it would be more in line. Not that they're small now, but the chest is massive. Okay, so now we see again that you have a very interesting structure because you have wide clavicles, so you have wide shoulders, but you also don't have like a super like small, like you don't have very small hips, and for some reason it looks good. I really think it makes you look more solid. Sometimes you have guys who have waists that are so narrow that they look fragile, like you could break them in two on your knees. You look strong. You have crazy V taper because your lats are flaring out. I think you told me that you have a 3-plate pull up. I'm not too surprised by that. I can already sign off the fact that I have nothing to say about your upper arms. Biceps, triceps, and forearms are where they should be. I think that I think you have potential, and because of that, I'm going to be a hard ass and say shoulders and traps. Shoulders and traps could be bigger. You are from Lebanon, apparently, too. But yeah, great. Like, if I just zoom in, like, and I just show you this could actually like pass as a thigh, or like this could pass as like a calf muscle. Like this could be an hamstring, and like the knee could be here, and this could just be a calf. Some people would believe that. Nope, it's a forearm. So whatever you're doing with forearms, please keep doing it. Yeah, your legs are actually in line. It's always a blessing when you have someone who has a great upper body and the legs are not lagging behind, because now you don't have anything to catch up on. I think your veins could be used as like a GPS map. So if you're ever lost, just take a look at your shoulder. You should be just fine. Okay, again, 19. Yeah, okay. So from that angle, what I suspected is actually true. Because of your insertions from the front, your chest looks tremendous, but from the side, you lack the thickness. I think it's very telling that your upper arm looks thicker than your chest. So you can add that to the list. Chest, shoulders, traps. The beautiful thing is that these three muscles are extremely easy to program with one another. Okay, your hamstrings are crazy. So again, nothing to say about the legs, nothing to say about the arms. This is not going to be about limbs. And I included this picture, and I'm glad that I have it, to show you what he looked like when he was heavier, just so that it can put into perspective what people see on the internet. Because people would look at this and say, oh, the guy is not that muscular. He was bigger here than he was in the previous pictures. It's just that he had more body fat. All right. This is actually justified. And you could say, okay, he had to bulk to get what he got. That is true. Because this is the same guy, okay? The same structure, it's the same muscles. It's just that one is lean and the other is not. If you want to get to this, which is way past auto mode and an actual aesthetic bodybuilding physique, you have, for the majority of people, to go through this. You cannot magically go from auto mode to jacked. it doesn't work like that. Unless you take steroids, which, sure. If that's the case, you're on the wrong channel. So we see the hyperdominance of the bicep. And actually a pose of the back where I think I was actually justified in saying that your traps could be bigger. So that's great. I think it's good to know that at 19 years old, you're not already done. But your core is great. So I'm going to quickly download how much weight between them, between the two. Let me see. How much weight between them? So he bulked from 140 to 200 pounds, and he's now 185. So he cut down 15 pounds, which is realistic, right? It's not so much that you would be like, what the fuck? Now, one could say, oh, well, this guy was always jacked. He most likely had amazing genetics. I'm going to quickly download the pictures that he sent me when he was younger. If you don't mind, I'm just going to stop sharing. Okay. I'm going to go into streams. No, streams. I click streams. Oh, actually, it's here. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, let's see what this Giga Chad looked like when he was 17 years old and he was 140. Up. So many clicks. Okay. Boom. So honestly, looking at this, you can already see that the structure is there, right? He has wide shoulders, he has these wide clavicles, but outside of that, look at the arms. Look at how small the arms are. It's impossible to be able to tell just looking at this that he's going to end up with like coconuts for biceps. It's impossible. In this picture, home was, I think he told me 140. If I'm not mistaken. He sent me so many pictures. It's actually very hard to find the messages that he sent. Yeah. So in this picture, he's 15 and he's, 140. Right? But he's in the chat. You can ask him directly. Now, well, yeah. So he went from 140 to 200. So the picture that I sent you then. And now he's at 185. So this is 140. All right. Look at these spaghetti arms. Like this is the epitome of spaghetti arms. No chest, like nothing. To this. Right. This is a very good transformation. Granted, I'm not going to sit there and say this is average, but for someone who went from 140 to 185, so who gained 45 pounds in 4 years, that is doable with very good genetics. And Ohm is only getting started because you're 5'7", you're 185. Realistically, with your potential, right? Because you have crazy potential for mass and with your frame, because you have so much space, you can honestly start to like get close to 200 pounds, relatively lean. If you focus on shoulders, chest, traps, that should be your area of focus. And then, of course, keep training whatever you're training in the same way because it's clearly working. But it is really shocking to see the transformation. Right? This is the beauty of bodybuilding. Right? If people look at this and say, "Oh, it must be steroids," I don't know why the fuck you're bodybuilding in the first place. If you don't believe in the potential of the human body to transform in that fashion, what even is the point? Now, let me share some of Ohm's best lifts because I think he sent them to me. So Ohm has a 550 deadlift, I suppose. He has a 135-pound curl for 6 reps, which, if strict, is amazing, and explore biceps. And he does belt squats. Well, that's not really relevant at all. He started at 150. So the picture I just showed you when he was younger. And his first deadlift was 355 pounds. So the first time he did a deadlift, he was already doing more than a times body weight deadlift. This is what I mean when I say gifted. I knew people who did this, right? I'm not surprised by this. It's just genetics. And he got to a 4-plate deadlift after a month of training it. So that's crazy. He points out that his weak points are the calves, which, yeah, I didn't even mention that, but yeah. And shoulders. Okay. And that's pretty much that. Looking at your program home, if you want to follow up with me, it's something that I do with the physique reviews. I can skew your program a bit if you need help, but that's only if you need help. Considering what you've been able to accomplish by yourself, I think you're going to be just fine. So thank you so much for sending your physique. That is very inspiring. Okay. Excellent. And you can doubt as much as you want. You know, once you build your body up and you know what is possible, especially if you come from a place where you have average genetics, you realize that like you are a fish in a pond and that there are people with better genetics. This is the reason why I think the rating in the thumbnail is actually quite important to take in mind, because maybe you're a 4, maybe you're a 6, maybe Om is a 7, and he's only 185. This is also, by the way, a big giveaway of who uses and who doesn't. Anyways, let us wrap up, because I should be wrapping up right now, and I am not, because I still have 4 people to go to. So the next one is Raz. And Raz also sent me a transformation. So we'll start with your transformation, Raz, if you don't mind. Up. Raz. Okay, Raz. So we see, started as an absolute skeleton of a man. Well, literally, like, the hands look bigger than the arms, right? This is what being skinny is. If you went through that, you know that this is like actual Slenderman status. From there, one could get discouraged. The only thing it means that is going to take you longer. All right. If you compare with what we just saw with didn't start like this. He was skinny, but he wasn't that lengthy. And we see the slow, steady transformation that is not dramatic, but I see great improvement. Where if you look at these pictures, for example, from this one to this one, to the naked eye and to the untrained eye, some would say it's the same. Look at the size of the neck, how much it improved. Look at the size of the traps, how much they improved. Look at the chest. The difference is pretty drastic between the two. My only issue, Raz, is that I want to see abs. The fact that there is no difference between these two pictures, to me, is a problem. Because everything else got bigger, but not your abs. So please isolate them. Then we see the arms. So what started as a literal like Chinese noodle, slowly but surely, the potential reveals itself. And now you see the peak coming in. You see the sweep of the tricep coming in. The first picture is hilarious because from the armpit to the point of the elbow, you can draw a straight line. After transformation, it's no longer possible. You've been training them hard, you have to train them harder. Then Raz hit me with the side chest. One, you have very, very long legs. So you're going to have to really put the emphasis on that. And two, looking at the side chest, your chest is actually very decent, like for your level of development. The forearm is actually pretty decent too. The issue is going to be for you the arm. You started with skinny arms. They're going to take a long time to get thick. But looking at this, I hope you are bulking. I hope you are continuing to bulk. Okay, so we see again those long legs. You don't have much fat around your waist. And honestly, whatever love handles you may have, it's not worth it to cut just to get rid of them. What must be focused on is training. Looking at your back, this is me looking at the future potential. I think you have crazy potential for traps. you're going to see that your traps are going to mug the rest of your back. So I'm pre-shotting your imbalances and telling you focus on lats. Okay, so for now we have abs, lats, and arms, and legs, of course. Okay, from the side, remember, you guys, I don't know if you guys were on the channel before when we saw the posture. This is good posture. So Raz, you already have that going for you. The shoulders are back, the neck is in line with the spine, the hips are in line with the head. Very good posture. The chest is pretty good. The front delt is pretty good. The arms is the focus. Okay, from the side, we again see that chest. We see that you have no traps, but they are going to come in. Your neck is already good. You don't really have to train it. Okay. Yeah, and this is what's interesting. You have very good auto quad, but because of the way your leg is built, you really need to focus on the VMO. That's going to be massively important for your aesthetic going forward. Okay, and the back. Okay, so yes, I want to see more lats. Because again, the traps, like the whispering of the traps tell me that they're going to be there. You don't have to worry about that. Front double by, well, there's not much to see here, but there will be. You are young and you are lean, so you can just focus on building on muscle and focusing on performance. And also, guys, there is nothing wrong with looking like this, by the way. I've looked like this. Every single person who has trained has looked like this. Genetics means how long do you spend looking like this? For me, it was years. If for you it's years, that's fine. You will be out of it eventually. Remember what I said about the traps? Yeah, they're already there. So keep an eye out for that. Now, Raz, you sent me messages, so let me see if I can add some context to this entire thing. Raz. We have Naz and we have Raz. Why are you so hard to find? Raz. Okay, so you're 23 years old, so you're very young. You're 5'10", so you have long segments. It makes you look taller, and you're 77 kilograms. Realistically, I will see you again at 80 kilos, 85 kilos. You have the room. You're 5'10". You bench 65 kilograms. You do rows with 30 kilograms. You have a 6 kilograms pull-ups. I'm pointing out these numbers to say that your range for progression is tremendous. The sky is the limit. So keep working, and remember what I said. Focus on lats. Focus on developing your limbs, arms, and legs. "23 is young, especially if you're a man. You have to stop thinking that your life is over if you're not a Chad by 19, because almost no one is. We have people who are exceptions, like on the chat, but the majority of people, you're going to enter your prime in your 30s. So just train in your 20s. Okay? And then we are going to go and cover Sulaman. Suli, I hope you're still on the chat, Suli. Suli at the very start of the stream said that he was quote unquote black pilled because people from his ethnicity, aka Ethiopians, don't have good genetics for size, and he never saw one with a good physique. Well, we're going to see if we are dealing with someone who potentially has body dysmorphia, which, spoiler alert, is the case. So, share screen. There we have Mr. Sulaman. So we have a side tricep, which is already a very good introduction to your physique, because we see very long legs that are going to take a long time to develop. We see a decently big neck. We see decently good triceps. And we see essentially like a starter kit physique. Now, how young are we talking, and how much time has this person spent in the gym? Let's see. So Suleiman used to be a sprinter and long jump athlete, which, not surprising, you have the genetics for it, around 14, 15. And he started training at this point. He started his journey at 65 kilograms. And he started to bulk after this point, and now he's at 80 kilograms. So that's already 15 kilograms gained. There's much more room where this came from, because again, he is 173 centimeters. So Well, the focus should be, if we keep looking at the pictures, from that side chest, we see actually good chest development and decent shoulder development. The bicep is actually there. The tricep is actually there. So honestly, the upper body is not as lacking as it should be. It actually is quite decent. The neck is huge. From the front, a relaxed pose. All right, look at the length of the legs. That is really the issue because these are not small legs. They're just long. The quads are developed. He's not skipping legs, but it's going to take you a long time to really bulk them up. The good thing is that you have great quad insertions. So once they really get big, you're going to have a very good looking lower body. You need to make sure that you put the emphasis on it. Your chest, shoulders, and traps are already there. I would like to see a bit more ab isolation because you're clearly not fat, but you have very little core definition. Okay. All right, you have a good structure. You have very good chest insertions. I think your chest might be slightly ahead of your shoulders. So going forward, maybe prioritize vertical pressing more than horizontal pressing. Right. And from that flex, we can tell. You have good biceps and you also have very good forearms. And this might actually be something to keep an eye on because if the forearms start to take over too much, you might end up in a situation where developing the bicep is going to be harder. So going forward, pronated motions, maybe don't do them as much because flexion of the elbow is already going to be taken care of by rows. And if you have good genetics for forearms, it's not an advice I give often to people, but focus on biceps, focus on shoulders and legs and core. Okay, that front double bi is a very good indication of your physique. You say you have bad genetics, but I disagree. Look at the peaks and valleys, right? Don't look at the size. What I see here is potential. Because once your delts are going to be bigger, once your biceps are going to be bigger, once your lats are going to be bigger, these, what we call bubbles, are going to make you look 3D as fuck. Where, like, this is potential. This is genetic potential. And I'm honestly looking forward to seeing it developed because let's imagine you in 5 to 7 years with bigger quads, with a full six-pack, with a bigger chest, shoulders, and biceps. You would look like a menace. Right? Now, back relaxed, lots of mass. Right? You're relaxed. It's normal to look like this relaxed. When he flexes, it's something else. And we see exactly what I was talking about, that potential with those wide shoulders. So when it comes to your back, focus on traps. The lats are already there. Keep training them as you have. And of course, develop those hamstrings. Yeah, the flex is good. You have good biceps. So let me get back to the conversation to see if I'm not missing anything that you sent me. So you said that your goal right now is to bring up your limbs. Excellent. You already know what you're supposed to work on. And then you say you're thinking of cutting down. I don't think it's necessary. If you have body dysmorphia issues, why not? Honestly, the reason why you look fatter than you actually are is because you have no abs. So it's up to you. If you cut, just cut once and then focus on lean bulking because what you need is mass on that body. It's not less fat. And then for the heck of it, he also sent me a picture of when he started when he was 15. So I'm going to show it to people so that they can actually see your starting point, and maybe it's going to allow you to also reflect on your own starting point because you honestly have built something pretty tremendous considering where you started. Okay, so you are here. Up. So where did the picture go? Did it go here? No, I think it went all the way at the start. No? Maybe I have to close it staring and then I'll have to open it again. Up. 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 So this is what Sulaman used to look like. So when you look at this and you look at what you look like now, I think it's quite preposterous for you to say, oh, I think I have bad genetics, or like the people of my ethnicity all have bad genetics. This is where you started, dude. You bulked from this where you look 11 years old into this. Like, give yourself a pat on the back. There's a scene that I love in Grapplerbaki where Orochi Dopo, who's like in his 50s, 60s, looks at his body in a mirror and he like physically pats himself on the back so as to congratulate himself for what he's done. Please, Sulaman, do that for all of us on the chat. Pat yourself on the back. You've transformed your body and you will keep growing. I can sign you off on that 100%. It was not you that said that. So we have another Suleiman on the chat. Okay, so my bad. So we had another Suleiman on the chat who had the same name as you for some reason. Okay, but cool. I'm glad to hear that you actually believe in your potential. That's excellent. Okay. And then we have two people left. So we have Testost, Rooster, and then we have Zach. Up. Next one is Testost, Rooster. All right. And let's see what has to say about his entry. So, Testost Rooster is 6 feet, 220 pounds, with 16 inches biceps. And he says, I don't really have a lifting program. Okay, that's already a red flag. I think you should always track your training regardless of what your goal is in life. And he says, and this is going to become relevant, it's what we call foreshadowing in the business, I try to do abs when I can. Okay, translation, I skip abs. Let's look at your physique. You have no abs. It is one, because you're high body fat, two, because you do them whenever you feel like it. That's not how you program. You put abs in your program and you fucking do them. People who say I train abs at home, aka I don't fucking train abs. Okay, put them in your program, superset them with your favorite press so that you never skip them. From here, I see muscular chest. The shoulders, it's tough to judge. Let's see another pose. Okay, that's your legs. We'll get back to that. Okay, so that's a relaxed pose from the front. So I see very good traps. I see good chest and good shoulders. So you're already covered in that area. Whatever you're doing, vertical pressing, vertical pulling, vertical pressing, and horizontal pressing, keep doing that. That's great. The arms seem to carry a lot of fat, but I don't see much shape to them. You seem to have good forearms. The issue is, of course, the core. Let's see if I can gain more information from other poses. Okay, that's cool. That's a very honest pose. So when I see this, you're 6 feet 220. Realistically, you are the first person, actually the second, but the first didn't care about aesthetics. You are the first person that I'm going to recommend should cut. You should cut. I think you should cut realistically 15 to 20 pounds because you have a lot of body fat on your frame and it's not doing you any favor. And then from there, you can start from a good base. Now, looking at this, your lats could use work. Let's go back to the picture of the back that I had. Yes, indeed, your lats really need work because you have what I call a fridge back. It's fine. I used to have a fridge back too. This is what happens when you neglect vertical pulling. So I want to see a focus on vertical pulling. Your traps are already there. What needs to grow is the lats. Okay, I'll get back to your legs later. Okay, case in point, look at your traps. Do they need to get bigger than this? I don't think so. What needs to get bigger is the real delt and the shoulder and then the lats. And your waist needs to get trimmer. Okay, that double bicep again. Well, the arms, I really need to like see you lower body fat to judge the arms because I can't even see your insertions, to be honest. So that's that. And then for your legs, you seem to have pretty good legs. I mean, your calves need work. But here is the plan going forward for you, my friend. You're going to cut 10 to 15 to 20 pounds. And while you cut, you're going to focus on getting better at pull-ups and just getting better at vertical pulls in general. You are going to put the accent on your arm isolation. And then once you get there and you are done with your cut, we can see where we go with your bulk. But focus on abs, focus on lats, focus on biceps, triceps. This is your plan. £20. People don't realize how much fat they're carrying on their frame. Like, to put it in perspective, if I wanted to be lean, like not stage ready, but lean, I would need to lose at least 15 pounds. So does it make it that crazy that I'm asking someone who is overweight to do the same? It's important. Okay. And then we have the last entry of the day, which is Zach. And Zach is sort of in the same boat. So we're going to start with the back double buy. Okay. So the first thing that jumps to my eye when I see that back is crazy triceps, very good insertions, lots of muscle mass, crazy like outside of the arm to the point that it almost like mugs the bicep. So focus more on like pure supination, whereas like movements with pronation might just like emphasize that area that is already very developed. And very good rear delt and delts in general. Like, these are the strong points of the physique. The traps are actually pretty good too. Then there's the rest. The rest is the lats, or the absence of them. So this is, Zach, the sign that you need to focus on vertical pulling as much as possible. Your erectors are also fairly lacking in comparison to that upper back where like it's all flat. So posterior chain and vertical pulls. Right. This is an interesting picture. It's not going to give me much, but you have other pictures from the front. So we see decent development, but this is a weird angle. Okay, that's much better. All right. So the arm genetic is like all sorts of freaky. Where I don't know what's going on with that bicep, but this is an interesting insertion. You have huge arms, and this is part of you being high body fat, part of you just having good genetics for arms, honestly. The issue is the front. So from the back, posterior chain, erectors, lats. From the front, chest. Chest, 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 and core. I understand that you most likely used to be someone who was overweight. There are certain signs. You lost the weight, that's great. Now you have to focus on the muscles that have been neglected. And we can see that especially with the relaxed pose. Your arms look insanely thick in that relaxed pose. The issue is what's in between them. Right? The legs are insane. Like, look at that arm string. Jesus. You might have like the big arms. Like, earlier we had, I think, Fabio, who had crazy arm strings. This is even like freakier. So I have nothing to say about your legs. Even your calves are developed, your quads are developed. Yeah, no fucking kidding, the quads are developed. Maybe focus on VMO. Focus a little bit more on VMO. But going back, like, and here, I'm not saying to cut. See, this is the distinction. Previous physique needed to cut because it had extra fat that wasn't needed. There is no extra fat here. Almost none, or at least nothing that would justify a cut. What is needed is focusing on the key muscles of the chest, of the abs, and of the lats and posterior chain. And that is going to conclude. What did I just do? Oh, okay. And that is going to conclude the stream. We just covered the 20 entries. It's good for my references to know that it takes me a little bit more than 3 hours, but that's fine. So, like, just speedballing with you guys, my plan going forward. is one, to do another one of these physique reviews, because I know that unfortunately, like within 2 hours, they're filled. So I want to do another one in December. It's going to be in 2 weeks. So it's going to be the same mechanism. I will make a community post. You will get to send me the physiques. Once I get 20, closed, and then done. 2, if you don't want to wait, or if you don't care about appearing on stream, that is fine. Go on the coffee page, you pledge a membership, or you donate $10, and I'll do a written review whenever I have time. The written reviews you get usually like within 24 hours, and it's like 7 or 8 paragraphs where I tell you which muscles you need to focus on, which you don't need to focus on, and I oftentimes give you advice on how to skew your program. So that is that. I was very focused. These streams are good, but like there's not much interaction with you guys. So I'm excited for next week's streams because we're going to do Young on Wednesday, and Saturday is going to be a dating Q&A. So be there if you have questions. When it comes to videos, you can expect a video on Monday, and I'm also thinking of making something a little bit special for next Thursday. So that's that. I'm very tired for some reason. It like hit me just all at once. I hope you guys had a good time. I sure did. If you are watching the stream afterwards and you want to like put timestamps, that would be appreciated. Like for example, if you watched it and you know at what time you came in, you can add your timestamp so that way people know when they came in, because that stream is of course going to be re-uploaded immediately on the channel for those who missed it. But that is that. What is Young? Carl Jung, it's philosophy stream on Wednesday. Thank you guys for being there until the end. It was quite enjoyable for me. And I'm going to leave you with that.